Welcome to the Tom Bernard podcast with half the family.
Yeah, Andy Brant Bernard.
And
no one else.
Alex is not here yet. Alex is never on time.
No.
Has she ever been on time in her life for anything?
I don't know. Doesn't seem that way.
I don't think so. I think you're absolutely right about that. Kristen Bird is out. I mean, we go on vacation next week.
I know.
I wish we could have coordinated this whole thing so it wasn't 2 weeks back to back. But the show goes on and everything is good. Met a bunch of new people that loved the show, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So that's nice to hear. That downpour yesterday that we had, and I mean it was coming down hard. You couldn't see, I wouldn't say much more than about 30 feet in front of you. It was raining. Maybe not even that.
Well, it's supposed to rain heavily again starting around 1-ish, it looks like, and it's going to apparently be heavy for the rest of time.
Rest of time. There you go.
It will never end.
This proves once again that God hates me, because at 1 o'clock I'll be leaving our house. 1:15 I'll be leaving our house to go pick your mother up at the airport. So the downpour will kick in just as I pull out onto the freeway.
Yep.
What a dream come true for Uncle Tommy.
I don't mind driving in the rain.
Well, that downpour yesterday was tough, though.
But yeah.
Because I had to drive all the way over to the Hubbard building on the border of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and from where we live, that's a long haul, and it just poured the whole time. I don't know that I've ever driven in that hard a rain for that long a period.
I don't know. I think I have.
Really?
But it's been a very rainy season, that's for sure.
It's been very rainy. There's no doubt about that. But that's just how it goes. Kristen Burt will be back with us tomorrow. What's she doing again?
She's on set.
On set for one of her
something.
TV deals?
Non-specific set.
Big Shot, is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much.
Is that the whole deal? I was looking at stuff as far as Hollywood is concerned anyway, and it might be a nice time to take a day off from Hollywood because, I'll give you an example of where we're headed with this whole thing. And people need to understand this is going to be devastating to some industries, and other industries are just going to be, well, let me explain this to you. So I went over yesterday, the Krabby Coffee podcast. Great people, really, really nice people.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went really, really well. I just had a great time there were 3 people in there at one time, Amy and Kenny, and the whole thing just went really, really well. I asked them to come and do our podcast as soon, like next week. Well, it couldn't be next week.
Yeah, not next week.
A couple of weeks after that, that'll be good, but
we're all booked up.
Something happened during that interview yesterday. The interview went very, very well. They were very nice. And, we just talked about a number of different things. And but toward the end of the show, Kenny said, I got to play something for you. And I said, okay, that's fine. And he hits this commercial, and I listened to the entire 60 seconds commercial. He said, what do you think of that? And I said, the fact that was me, but it really wasn't me, is a little disturbing. Apparently there's some guy out there now doing commercials somewhere in the United States, I don't know where it is, but he uses my voice through AI. Is it that easy to do, Andy?
Convincingly, I would say probably not.
Oh, this sounded just like me.
It's actually pretty difficult to make it sound good, but, you can very easily clone someone's voice.
How is that legal?
Because there's no law against it.
Why is there no law against using someone else's talent?
Because lawmakers are perpetually 20 years in the past.
Well, that's pretty much true. But
that's why.
I sat there and I listened to it. No, I've told the story many, many times. About 15, 20 years ago, I was leaving, and I brought this up to them after they ran that too. I was leaving Creation Audio down on 26th and Nicollet, and, they leave and blah, blah, blah. Coming in the next day, I heard the commercial I just cut the day before, and the middle of the commercial was not me. Sounded like me, but it wasn't me. So, and that they said they used a Moog synthesizer to do that.
I doubt that.
Oh, do you do, really?
Moog synthesizer isn't exactly a complex... it is a very complex piece of machinery, but it's not capable of that.
I find this terrifying that all this talent out there, whether it's acting or voiceover or, whatever it is, the fact that they can lift your voice that easily and use your talent to make money and you never know it happened. That's terrifying, don't you think?
I guess we'll see how it goes. But, you're
right.
not I mean, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to make money off of other people's voices. So
I
there's
would
that.
hope, yeah.
Speaking of things in the past, a listener texted this in.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
That was the very first year of the KQRS morning show. Marky Rosen, then me, then Dan Culhane.
Yep.
Dan's no longer with us. One of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet in your life, Dan Culhane. And, of course, he had to die young. Why, I don't know, but I guess that's just part of the deal. But we do miss you, Dan. Tom and Dan was the name of that show, the very beginning. Tom and Dan show on KQRS. And then Marky Rosen came in and did the weather. And then that first year we ran him for governor, and he got tens of thousands of votes. So that went rather well. But those are great pictures to see. I run into Mark Rosen once in a while, not very often. Usually at Golden Valley. That's why I run into him. And but it's been so many years since I worked with Marky. It's amazing. That was 1988 when they finally yanked him off my show. 37 years ago, they yanked him off my show. And I, to this day, still feel like I worked with the guy not that long ago. But it's been that long. I don't know why people have to mess with it. And again, what they did was really stupid because they marked Marky Rosen off the show, which then became the highest-rated morning show in America. That's kind of a stupid thing to do, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, the same thing just happened with the last go-around, telling everybody I retired when they lied and told people I retired, and I got fired. Now they've got like a .02 share or something. It's just dreadfully bad. Why do people make mistakes? Take something that's worked for so long and change it completely, and it never works. Why do they do that?
I mean, sometimes changing things up works, but I don't know. I don't think in this case that was a smart idea.
I don't think it was either.
It's one of those things that people have been listening to for 30, 40 years, and at that point, change is usually not a good idea.
Well, as I said, I was in the Hubbard building yesterday. Of course, the KSTPs, they're there. KS95 is there. My Talk is there. So I ran into a lot of radio announcer, disc jockey, producer, all kinds of people yesterday. And they all, none of them understand it. Nobody will ever I've seen this happen to other people and thought, why are you firing that guy? This is never going to work. And, of course, it never does work. Mm-hmm. Is it a personal ego thing? Is that what it is?
I couldn't tell you what people in upper management in the radio think.
I can't either.
I don't really deal with them if I can avoid it.
Oh, you never want to because it's getting worse and worse. I will tell you that. There are some good people. Well, I mean, I've known Dan and Amy for a long time. Certainly Dan and Amy I met a few years ago. I don't know. It's a really... what they're doing to a lot of businesses now, and again, the reason I brought up that voice thing, it did sound just like me. I mean, I was listening to myself, and I realized, how how many people are going to lose their jobs because of that? You're already in a situation where AI covers a lot of stuff. Radio is on the downward trend. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. Podcasting is on an upward trend, but local television is also on a downward trend, which is really sad because local TV shows, Steve and Sharon are going all the way back to that. All the great shows on Channel 4, Channel 5. The local news doesn't do well anymore because apparently, although how do you get local stories if you don't watch the local news?
Most people get it through social media.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's social media doing this.
Yep.
So basically, you got AI and you got social media, and it's going to put about half the population out of business.
I mean, I think it already has.
I think you're right about that. I think most of it's done a lot of damage already, which is unfortunate, but, that's just the way it is, right?
Yep, world changes.
I wish it wouldn't. Got some great guests coming up. Now, today's going to be interesting because, like I said, we got the Hunyuk is not. She's back tomorrow, though, isn't she?
Who? Kristen?
Kristen, yeah.
Yes.
Kristen's back tomorrow, so she took today. She's got, like I said, a bunch of, I don't know if it has to do with her TV shows out in L.A. or what it has to do, but it's something like that, I think. But we have two guests today. It's going to be very, very interesting. At 10:45, coming up in just about 4 or 5 minutes, Kari Hoffmann is going to appear on the show. And Andy, give us a brief run of what Kari Hoffmann's all about.
Well, back in what did we determine? 2019, I think it was.
I think so, yes.
Someone in the Mall of America grabbed a 5-year-old
Yep.
boy and threw him off the balcony.
Yep.
Kari is his mother, the boy's mother.
And he lived, right?
And he lived, and he has made a good, if not total, recovery. We'll have to talk to her about that.
So we got to talk about, with her, because she's got to be digging deeply into this. What would drive someone to throw a 5-year-old over a balcony, trying to kill them?
I believe his excuse was that his girlfriend had broken up with him and he was mad.
So we should kill a baby.
Apparently.
Okay.
I mean, I doubt the man has a double-digit IQ, so...
Well, I know you're probably right about that.
I mean, it's like, when a dog attacks someone, do you try to rationalize it, or do you just say, there's just garbage in the world?
Well, at that water park out, it's not at the Mall of America, but it's out on 494 out there. Some guy grabbed a kid, I don't know, 10, 12 year, 15 year, whatever it was, at the water park and threw that kid off the top of the water park. But I think that little kid died, if I remember correctly.
Let me see.
I don't know the name of that water park out there.
8-year-old boy, 2018. So this was actually before Landen.
Oh, yeah.
The
right.
year before.
Yes.
I didn't even remember this one. 18-year-old with cognitive disabilities.
Yep.
Pushed a boy and was later released from custody, apparently. So I'm hoping the kid didn't die.
So it doesn't say anything about if he lived or died?
Let's see. Let's see if I can get more information on this.
It's quite the plummet, I know that.
I wonder. Oh, no, apparently he was fine.
Oh, he was fine. Well, that's good.
31 feet off a water slide platform because the line was too long.
Oh, my God. So he pushes him 3 stories off of a 3-story roof, basically. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a soft landing, I can promise you that, because there's no cushion down there, is there?
I don't know what he landed on. I would imagine he landed on something relatively... Yeah, he was hospitalized in stable conditions.
Wonderful.
So, I mean, I don't know. I guess he did fine, too.
Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Kristen will join us tomorrow again. She'll be back in the saddle.
She bails once more. What's
interesting after that, though, is we only have tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the family goes on vacation.
Yes.
But, everybody in Minnesota goes on vacation in July. But we have a bunch of best ofs lined up already, don't we?
I mean, they're not lined up, but I'm going to make them.
Yeah, you're going to make them. Here's what I'm saying, because we have 5 times the listeners we used to have. So are some of those gems that they've never heard because they weren't listeners yet.
It's not possible to hear them until I release them as lost episodes.
There you go. I think it's wonderful.
Yep.
So look forward to that. Even though your buddies are going to be out of town on vacation, there'll be some great content on the show.
Still be taking care of you.
Most of you have never heard this stuff, and it's really, really great.
Yeah, unless you were listening back in 2012, you will have not heard this before.
God, 2012. Isn't that amazing? 13 years ago.
Almost 13 years, yep. It was September 2012, if I remember correctly.
All right, we'll take a break. Be right back in a couple minutes right after this. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands-free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget, and now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
You're listening to me. Your customers are listening to us, and they'll hear me promote your business. The Tom Bernard Podcast attracts thousands of listeners, again, 4 to 5 times more than it did just even a month or so ago. So our audience is really growing right now, so thank you for that too, by the way. Our podcast has helped numerous businesses increase traffic, sales, and brand recognition. We're not just about ads. We're about results. Whether you're a local business or a national brand, we offer custom advertising packages designed to fit your unique needs and goals. Our audience spans multiple demographics, allowing you to target your ideal customers with precision, from millennials to baby boomers and everyone in between. With the broad reach of the show and passionate following, your business will see increased visibility and awareness, translating into more customers and sales. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Kristen Byrne Entertainment News brought to you by North American Bank & Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. I got to run something by you, Alex.
Oh, no, I don't have my thing on. I'm still not used to this thing.
What is wrong with you? Can you handle it or not?
Clippity, clippity. There we are.
That'd be my
I'm
question.
not used to it.
Can you handle
After
it
10
or
years
not?
I
of
know.
just putting it on or 12 years of just putting it on my head and my microphone's right there.
Well, you used a stick mic for a while. You didn't get a headset until like a few years after we started. But
Yeah, but it's been a long time.
it has been a long time.
A long time.
No, I have to ask you, is it okay? Yeah, you know our special guest today,
I
Kari
told the
Hoffmann.
kids already that
Okay,
they need
so-
to go into the
Okay,
other
yes.
room when she's
Because
on.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
about little children. You don't want to hear it. And
They
it
know
worked
what-
out okay.
They know
it did work
what
out.
happened.
It's the moms coming in of that
Yep.
like kid that got thrown off the
Off the balcony. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, we just as long as you can handle it, that's fine. But
Well,
if
no, I told them that they need to just go because I was like, she might not want kids
that's true
here
too.
while
That's a
she's
good point.
talking about it. So.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But what if she?
No, we're just gonna have you guys go out there.
But
It'll
what
be great.
if it's appropriate for us?
We can figure that
That's
out
a good
later.
argument. That's a really good argument. What if it is appropriate for us? What do you think of that
We can
action?
figure that out later because her feelings are important, so we just need to.
Yeah, no question about that.
Mom, what's
Yeah, Kari
the
Hoffmann will join
family
us.
hotline? 6
What now?
Yeah, for real.
Are we done?
Your mom will help you later.
You'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing.
Oh, yeah, she's writing it down. Okay.
There we
Sage
go.
wants to take. Well, she's coming in -4 minutes, so I mean,
Man, she's coming in any second now.
Well, whenever she comes.
whenever she gets here is fine with me.
Exactly. That'll work out just beautifully. And then it is a longer show today because at about, 11:45, something like that?
I believe so.
Neal Justin will be here from the Star Tribune. That's going to be an interesting conversation because, well, again, we'll talk about it all when he's here, how people's perception of what this, that, and the other thing is. So it should be a great show today. Kari Hoffmann will be here any minute, and then Neal Justin will be here at about 11:45, about an hour, a little under an hour from right now. So that's good.
Oh, Alex
So
is cozy
that's
now.
good. That's literally what I typed into Google was cozy.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice and
Oh,
cozy.
cozy. What is
So-
that?
I don't know, a den.
Yeah, a little cozy spot, the fireplace.
Look at the fireplace, the whole
I don't know.
shooting match.
I just wanted to be cozy
What do you
because it's
think?
a rainy day.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. That downpour we had after leaving here yesterday was unbelievable. You didn't notice that?
No.
Oh my God, it was raining hard. No
Probably.
question about it.
There was a lot of we were in Chanhassen, I think it technically was. It's like right after Eden Prairie turns to Chanhassen, I think.
Yeah.
We were there and driving home from that. Fawn was like, "Mom, can you even see?" Because the rain was coming
Oh,
down so hard, and
it
there was
was.
so much flooding on the sides.
Yeah, matter of fact, I
Yeah.
still looked at that coming in today. There are low-lying areas that are just lakes now. It used to be grass, but it's all underwater now. And then it's supposed to be the same thing this afternoon, the downpour this afternoon, and then it's supposed to rain again tomorrow.
Really? I thought it was supposed to be nice tomorrow.
Andy, what do you got?
Tomorrow? I haven't
Yeah.
looked at tomorrow. I thought it was supposed to be nice tomorrow.
I
but
hope so.
Yeah, I thought
Let's
it was supposed to be
find
nice
out,
tomorrow.
shall we? Tomorrow apparently is 20%, so probably not.
Oh, 20%.
But Saturday, 50% storms.
Really? I thought Saturday was supposed to be 88 and sunny last night.
Now it's
when I
84
checked.
and stormy. So
Oh.
great tornado weather.
I do not
Wait.
remember this much rain ever in this for the first 3 months of the season.
Well, it didn't rain at all in April or May, really.
Oh, well, that's why we're
That's
catching
true.
up.
So now we're
It was
getting all
very,
this
very
rain.
dry.
Yes.
We're catching up. Just as soon as Nan and Bop Bop get back, then you got to start the downpour. Is that what you're saying?
Probably. Hey, we need it. It was very dry.
Yeah.
Was it?
Am I
Yes.
in the right building if there's a West End restaurant in the lobby? I don't know what that means. I'm thinking no.
Ed's Kitchen is in
Yeah.
the...
That kitchen, that place in the lobby is, that's the West End.
Well, it's
West
not called
End.
West End Kitchen, though.
1660.
Yeah.
That's the address. Do you want me to go down and try to find? Well, although I don't know what she looks like. So
And
Yeah,
our
that's
name,
what I
our
said.
name is on the
It's on the directory.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Just look on the directory and go to T, and if we're not there, then you're in the wrong building.
Yeah.
Talk for a second. I'm going to go in the hallway and see if she's wandering.
No, she's down in the lobby.
I highly doubt it.
Okay, all right. We'll just.
You guys have lots to talk
Wait,
about.
can I go with Papa?
No, you stay here.
Where?
Well, I guess now we have to talk for probably the next 20 minutes.
I was gonna say until he returns. Well, we don't know. You don't even know
We
where you're
don't
going or who
know.
you're looking for.
Nope.
So. Anyway,
roam around
well, yeah.
yelling
So,
Kari.
want to know why we're late?
Sure.
Because I was working out, and then I was like, oh, well, I'll be done at 9:40. I'll be able to go quick shower, and then we'll go. I take off my headphones when I'm done working out, and the children are making popcorn in the basement hallway with our air popper. And there's bowls and butter and nutritional yeast.
Oh.
And I was like, what is going on? And they decide that's where I make popcorn at night when they're asleep, so it doesn't wake them up because the air popper is really loud.
Yes, it is.
So we had to make 2 bowls of popcorn and have it all figured out and then clean it all up before I could shower. So that's why we're late today,
Oh.
because of hallway popcorn.
Well, you have popcorn now, I guess.
They do. They each
So-
brought 2 bowls of popcorn, but they put them high up so Daisy won't eat it. Because I was
Daisy
like,
probably wouldn't eat it anyway. She's weird. She doesn't eat popcorn.
oh, really?
Yep.
Oh.
Only dog in the world who doesn't like popcorn.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know what her deal is.
May's picky and she doesn't eat like berries
Daisy won't eat berries either.
and stuff, but she'll eat any carby thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And yeah, she likes popcorn a lot. Bert will eat anything. He'll eat spinach, cilantro.
It's like Jude.
Yeah, he's like, well, Jude can't eat hardly anything
he
without
cannot eat
having
anything.
horrible. I have had to. We've been watching Jude, and I had to sleep in Sage's bedroom with Jude last night because Jude's snoring is
Oh,
so
yeah.
bad that Dan can't sleep.
Huh.
And then Jude came into my room and slept on my mom's head.
Yeah, he slept on my head
Jude.
for probably an hour.
Weird dog.
He got up and pawed at me at like 6 a.m. And I was like, no, we're not waking
Not
up right
happening.
now. I mean, usually during the school year, I wake up at 6 o'clock to like work out and stuff. But I'm like, in the summer, I don't wake up at 6. And Jude doesn't wake up at 6 ever.
No.
And so I was like, what? I was just like, no. And then he just laid on my head and fell asleep. He snored in my ear.
Yeah, when he stays at our house, he just sleeps until we wake up, so. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know what he's been doing. And he growls at anybody.
Yep, he sure does.
I'm like, it's Fawn. Why are you
Grr.
growling at her?
He growls at me.
I know. I'm like,
Well,
why are
speaking
you
of
growling
eating
at
weird
her?
things, did you hear what I fed Colin the other day?
No.
I don't know if you were here.
Spam.
Much weirder, actually. I was making Brussels sprouts, and I was cutting them up so I could put them in the air fryer.
Okay.
And he kept looking at them and whining and reaching for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Sure, here's an uncooked Brussels sprout leaf.
Yeah.
And he ate it, and then he asked for more.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, my kids.
I wouldn't eat uncooked Brussels. It sounds horrible.
My kids have always loved cruciferous vegetables.
I
like,
mean, I do too. Like, I'll eat raw broccoli, but raw Brussels sprouts, I don't know about that.
yeah, I don't
raw
know.
broccoli.
I don't know that I've ever had. I love cooked Brussels sprouts. Like Fawn, I remember there was one time when she was a baby and she was eating an apple, and then I was cutting up asparagus, and she's always loved asparagus, and I like passed her a piece of asparagus while I was preparing it, and she literally threw the apple across the room and grabbed the asparagus because she liked asparagus. so
Colin
much.
loves asparagus.
I know asparagus is
He'll eat
delicious.
infinity asparagus.
Did you guys
Me
hear
too.
anything from Kari?
She's on the 3rd floor looking for the room.
Okay.
Is she a young blonde woman with a white jacket?
I have no idea.
No.
Because I saw a woman walking the opposite direction when I came back because I waited for her down there.
That could be.
It could have been her. I don't know. But she'll find it sooner or later. It should not be a problem. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take our break here, and then she should be here by the time the break is
Sure.
over, I would think.
Why not?
We'll be right back. Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Brian Thiel, president of Abrasives of St. Paul.
What I like best about North American Banking Company is the small town feel with great products and very good service, and I love the people. I would definitely recommend North American to other business owners. A lot of banks I could choose from, and North American Banking Company is the one.
So why not bank where I bank, with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabanco.com to learn more. That's nabanco.com, or stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. South Dakota, one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and there's no better place to settle down and take advantage of those incentives than in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. As the state's largest city with a metro population over 290,000, Sioux Falls has low business costs with a high quality of life. There's no state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. Here's the deal. South Dakota ranks among the top 10 states in the United States for tax friendliness, hardest working, healthcare and doctors, most popular to move to, inbound state for movers. Now, here's the deal. Listed in the 50 best places to live for families, no question. Well, that was you walking the other way in the hallway. Because I came around the corner and then I saw you walking away, but I went...
I didn't realize that the door had it's just a little number.
A little number.
You know, that's why I missed it.
Yeah, I saw you. Well, you actually, when I came around the corner, you were walking the other way. And I went, I better not yell at somebody in case it's...
Twice, but that's okay.
Well, now you found it. Now you're here. Okay, Sioux Falls. Spotlights on Sioux Falls listed in the 50 best places to live for families, the fastest growing Midwest metro, one of the best places to raise a family, one of the best small cities for Gen Z workers, national 4th top inbound city people move to. How does South Dakota stack up against other states? Well, we rank 2nd in the nation for the lowest cost of doing business, the most business-friendly state, the best business tax climate, and as South Dakota's biggest city, Sioux Falls is at the center of these benefits. Visit www.siouxfallsdevelopment.com. For Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong. But suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it? They take advantage.
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing, and people are like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Where the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. I guess we're not back. Now we're back, though. There you go. Now we are back, ladies and gentlemen. You got the kids placed?
Making paper airplanes, so they're happy. as
They're
can
good.
be. Yep.
Glad to hear it.
Yep.
Kari Hoffmann, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
So I'm doing just fine. I walked out to find Kari, and I got down to the left side, the left end of the hallway, and there was a woman walking away from me. I went, well, I can't just yell at her, go, is that you? Because that would look really weird. But it was you.
It was me.
So I'm glad you found the
I
spot.
wandered around, but I found it.
I got to be honest with you, Kari. That's part of doing the show from here that I'm not going to miss because we're moving in about a month, something like that.
Oh.
People can never find this building. It's weird.
I found the building, but the door to come in just has that little number. I wasn't looking at the numbers good enough.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it happens to everybody. I don't know
Yeah,
what it is
it
about
does.
this. Well, it's kind of just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the building, don't get me wrong, but people have a really hard time finding
Yes.
it. I don't know why that is. Okay, how far back are we going to start the story?
Where do you want to go?
Well, no, I'm just following your lead on this deal.
Yeah, and-
You've got all the knowledge.
Yes. Well, 2019 is when this happened, 6 years ago.
So it was 6 years ago.
Yes.
We were just talking about that. And you were at the Mall of America?
Yes.
Do you remember, were you in the play areas? Or?
No, we were going up to that third floor at the Crayola factory.
Oh,
right
yeah.
next to the Rainforest Cafe.
Absolutely. You know, my first memory, and I swear to God, nothing against the Mall of America and all the rest of it, but my youngest brother, Troy, was a bartender at that it was right by the comedy club, but it wasn't the comedy club. It was another bar, the original. I don't know,
I
something.
don't know. There's a lot of
Yeah.
bars in that
Yeah,
area.
I'm
Yeah.
sure are.
He said his first night, he's standing bar, and the guy orders a beer, and my brother brings him a beer and all the rest of it. Walks by about 15 minutes later, the guy goes, I assume you're probably going to comp my next beer. My brother goes, what? He goes, well, you know who I am, don't you? And Troy goes, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Well, I'm Tom Bernard, so you should give me free drinks.
Oh, jeez.
Just happened to run into my brother at the Mall of
Wow.
America and tell him he was me.
That's funny.
It's like, as a matter of fact, no, you're not.
No, no.
Because you're not my brother.
I know you're not my brother, as a matter of fact.
That's funny.
Isn't that
I was
amazing?
gonna say, did Troy go, well, I'm Troy Barnard.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
I know
what he did.
what Tom Bernard looks like.
That's
and
exactly
you ain't
what he
it.
did.
Oh, that's funny.
So do you, back then, and do you now still go to the Mall of America quite a bit?
No, I
Not
have not
anymore?
been there since. No.
I could see that would be a problem. Now, we'll walk into it. What exactly happened? What time of the year was it first?
It was April, but it was really cold and snowing. It was like a blizzard
So
that
people
day.
were crabby.
Yes, and it wasn't open yet. We were there before it opened.
Oh.
It was like 9:45. But they let you in to walk around and you can get a coffee. Just none of the stores are open.
And where were you when this happened?
I was on the 3rd floor
Third floor. God.
going up to that experience. That
And your
gala.
child is how old at this time?
5.
5-year-old. 5-year-old boy.
Yes.
So you're walking along, and what happens next?
Well, when we were walking, it was, we just got all the way up to that Rainforest Cafe where those rocks are.
Right. Yes.
There's alligator inside there that goes on and off.
Right.
Steam comes in and out.
Yep.
So the boys run and go on that rock, and that's where they.
Oh, you
were.
had more than one boy with you?
I was with a mom and a friend.
Oh, okay.
So
I
we had
didn't
just
know
come
that.
from conferences,
didn't
5-year-old
know that.
conferences. I have older kids too, but they were in school, so it was just the 4 of us that were there together. So there was 2 boys, 5-year-olds, stepping on that rock and looking for that alligator to turn on. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't turning on because it wasn't open.
It's not open yet. Yeah.
Yes. So that's when a man came up, and he, to me, looked like he worked there because we all had winter coats on and boots, and he had on short sleeves and jeans, and I thought he worked there.
How old?
Oh, I don't know, mid-30s, I think.
Mid-30s. all
Or
right.
maybe 20s. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, younger guy. But he was leaning over with the boys looking at the alligator, whispering to them. And to me, that was odd.
Yeah.
Well, Alex just made a face.
I'm like, I have 2
like
children.
there's
I'd
no
be like,
tomorrow.
get away.
But I thought he was going to turn it on. I really did.
Yeah, like if you thought, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's there to turn on.
He
the-
was like leaning,
Yes.
leaning over.
Yeah, because if like somebody that works at Rainforest Cafe,
Yes.
like you think, oh, they probably like kids and like
Yes.
telling them about like something. Yeah.
That's what I thought. He was probably telling them about the alligator. He's going to turn it on or something like that. But he was whispering and they were giggling. And I was talking to that other mom that I was with. So I was kind of distracted. But it did make me think, what is he saying? So I went up to him
Right.
and I said,
Right.
do you not want us to be here? I said, because we were leaning over that rock. And there's a
Right.
big sign that says, please don't step on the rocks. But if you don't step on
okay.
it, you can't see. So
Okay.
the boys do. So I said, do you not want us here? And he said, oh, no, you're fine. He smiled, he looked nice, and I thought, okay, so I stepped back, but then he got closer and was leaning over further and talking to them and whispering in their ears. I had no idea what they were saying, but I did later learn from the other boy who he did not take that he was saying, if you don't get off this rock, I will throw you over the edge.
Oh my God!
That's what he was whispering.
And you had no idea he was doing
And the
it.
boys were giggling, so they thought it was funny.
Oh, they
yeah.
thought it was funny.
Yeah, because 5 is
Like, what are you saying? Okay,
yeah. I know, and 5 is still too young to really be like, oh, this guy's weird,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah.
No, so they were just giggling, and that's what he was saying. And so I went forward one more time, and I said, is it okay that we're here? And he goes, yes, you're fine. Like right in front of me, picked him up
God.
under the armpits and ran and threw him.
He ran away from you with your son.
Yeah, right in front of me, like really close,
And then threw him.
over the balcony.
And how many floors is that?
3 floors.
It's 3 floors down.
39 feet.
And not exactly a soft landing either, anywhere in that mall.
No.
Good God, what's going through your head while you're watching your son plummet?
Oh my gosh, I just wanted to get to him. And
yeah, right.
I had a feeling going in there that something weird might happen. I come from a very faith-filled background, and I just felt like an attack. I don't know why. So I
Yeah.
did pray before we went into the mall. And so when he was taken, I felt like God was saying, pray. So I just yelled, everybody pray. Somebody threw my baby. Everybody pray.
Oh, God.
And I just refused to let him die. Like, I was running down those escalator stairs praying, rebuking the devil to get his hands off. I felt like that was
that's a good move.
that's what I thought was
That's a
happening.
good move. There
That
you
that man to me was the devil.
Why wouldn't he be? Of
Yes.
course he is.
Yes.
God, we have a long way to go before we find out what this guy was even doing. I mean,
Yeah.
why he did what he did makes no sense to anyone.
No, so I guess the day before he's told the police that the day before he went to the Mall of America to pick up women. And
Oh,
it wasn't working. So he was very, very angry. And so he was going to throw a woman over the balcony. He wanted to kill a woman.
sure.
It did not work. So he came back the next morning to do it. And he happened to see us there. But he said that we weren't close enough to the balcony. So he took Landen.
Okay, so he throws your son over. What do you do next?
I ran down the escalator
So you
stairs,
did,
3 flights, crying, somebody threw my baby, everybody pray. And on the second level were 2 nurses that work at Children's Minneapolis.
Oh, God, great
who
move.
saw this happen, came running behind me and gave CPR instantly. And the whole time everybody was coming on, the balconies up and staring. And I just looked up there and I said, everybody pray, stop staring, just pray. And there was a man on a second level who went like this to me, like, I got you.
Oh, really?
And I felt like, oh my gosh, okay, everybody's praying. And then the nurse said, Landen took a breath. And I said, yes, he took a breath. Everybody keep praying. And then they said, now he has a heartbeat. I'm like, yes, he has a
Oh,
heartbeat.
at first he didn't have a heartbeat.
No, I didn't know.
God. Oh, God.
And I don't remember what he looked like. You think I would remember. I did run over and pick him up, and they yelled, put him down. And then they
Yeah.
started working
Oh,
on
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't remember.
No.
Yeah,
Apparently.
because you probably were just in a daze of.
I
yeah.
have no clue. But apparently he did not have a heartbeat. He was not alive.
God.
I didn't know that until I left Children's Hospital. These nurses were at the hospital where I was, and they wanted to come up and see how we were doing, but I didn't want to talk to them until Landen was okay, which was not until 4 months later.
4 months.
Yeah.
Was he in the hospital for
Yes.
all of that time?
Yes.
Oh, God.
In bed, not being able to get out because he was hooked on so many machines and had broke his femur 2 times.
Okay, so he wasn't in a medically induced coma or anything.
For the first 11 days, he was.
Okay.
And then after that, we had a lot of surgeries, and 2 more times he was also intubated while we were in there from complications.
You must be able to still feel what that was like going down those
Yeah, I mean, when I
escalators.
talk about it, I still get hot and hives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I just, there are things about people I will just never understand. Why you need to hurt a 5-year-old boy because a woman wouldn't hang out with you at the Mall of America.
Yeah.
It's the kid's fault. Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, he must be deeply hurting. That's all I could ever think.
I guess.
He's got something that is not okay with him. So,
Okay, so you get downstairs. They tell you to calm down. They'll handle it. So luckily those 2 nurses were right there.
yeah.
And you said at first he wasn't breathing, he wasn't moving.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Didn't have a heartbeat. That's.
I know. But he took a breath and got a heartbeat, and I was
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, everybody keep praying. Yes, it was, yes.
Where did he land? What did he land on?
Well, the doctors, when we got into the hospital, they told me he must have hit, there was a photo booth there. They thought he must have hit that first because of his injury. He didn't, though. We went back and
Oh,
looked
he
at
didn't?
He did not. It was a free fall straight to the concrete, face first.
Right on the face first on the concrete. How did he live?
He should not be alive. He's a miracle.
No, he should not be alive.
Yes.
That landing on your face on concrete.
Yeah,
Face
he
first
landed-
actually might have helped him there.
It
Oh,
did.
really?
It did. They said he broke his fall, so everything
did.
here was
Yep.
shattered,
Oh,
and his
yeah.
nose was smushed into his face, and he still has a scar here. So he injured his frontal lobe, which I guess that's the best part of the brain to injure. We found out later because I would
Why are
have
you
him
looking
back.
at me when you say that? Yeah, there you go.
Because I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I,
That's how that works.
the amazing thing is, as the father of 2, and they're both here, I'm
Yeah.
a little close to my children and my grandchildren,
Yes.
no doubt about it. How are you over it? You still must not be completely over it.
No, but it's the miracle that I
Yeah.
am not over, that I want to keep sharing, because he really should not be alive.
Right.
What really happened was during this fall, his vena cava, the main vein going to the heart, had ripped off.
Ooh.
They did not know this until, this is what the 4 months in the hospital were. We were, on a recovery road, everything was looking good, and then he had this chyle leak that would not stop. And they couldn't figure out why. Why won't it stop? It just kept getting worse and worse, and Landen was getting sicker and sicker for 4 months to figure this out. And I finally had one doctor who just couldn't give up. He wanted to find the answer. He wanted to find the answer. And he did. And it was that he went and had a CT scan 4 months later, and the vein was reattaching itself slowly back to the heart.
Oh.
And as it was doing that, it was getting tighter and tighter and tighter to the size of a pinhole. So his body was making different routes to his heart to keep him alive. And we found out just in the right amount of time before he would have died, before it would have closed altogether, they put a 10 millimeter adult stent in there. Blood came rushing back, and he lived.
I got to run this one by because this must be something. Were you the one that told Dad what happened to the son?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I actually, when I was in the ambulance, I called him. He did not answer. Called his mom, didn't answer. Called my parents. They answered, and I said, get to Children's Hospital, somebody through Landen. But I didn't want to talk to anybody, so I hung up.
So you hung up,
like this
Yep.
happened by,
Yeah. And so my mom was like, what? And I'm like, just go to Children's Hospital. And she came. My parents came, but nobody. Dave did not know, and his parents did not know, my husband, until the mom I was with, she called him.
And then they came rushing down.
And then they came rushing down.
Now, at this point, you still think he wasn't going to make it?
No, I always thought he was going to make it.
That's right. You said that earlier. You always thought he was
I
going to make it.
never thought he was going to die once.
That's
I
wonderful.
refused. Yes.
I refused to
we're
believe
like,
that.
no, not happening.
I really did. That's the mindset I was in.
And he's, 11 now?
Yeah.
He's 11 now. Is he grateful to Mom for never thinking he was going to die?
Yeah.
Does he know?
He knows he's a miracle.
He does know he's
tells-
a miracle?
Yes.
So how's he handling that?
Oh, he loves it. He feels like he's famous. And
Well,
I
he
said,
is,
no.
yeah.
Well, I said, no, God is famous, and you're the boy he used to
There
save
you
to
go.
show the world the miracle. So that's what I tell him.
That's wonderful.
And he knows.
How did you handle it? Because I would be so angry for the rest of my life. I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody.
But I got an amazing miracle.
You did. That's true.
And I looked at that right away. So when he came out of the ambulance into the life-saving room, they were working on him all over his body, fixing everything to stabilize him. And one of the nurses or people in there yelled out, okay, we don't, I stood up in a chair and I started praying that the devil take his hands off, Landon's going to live and not die. And they said, if you don't need to be speaking, please don't be speaking, because everybody was shouting this.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they said, well, what is his blood, everybody quiet, what is his blood pressure? And I yelled out, it's perfect.
It's perfect. We don't know what it
And
is,
it was.
but it's perfect.
Because I said so.
Yes, and I just kept claiming him. Okay, perfect. I had to. I was really in fight mode. I was fighting for him to live, and I wanted him to hear me. I wanted him to hear me yelling, because then I thought he would fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. That makes sense.
Then he went across the hall to get an MRI, and my parents came running down the hall, and that's when I fell to the ground and yelled that I forgive the man who did this to him, because of what you're saying, I didn't want to be full of that anger and that.
Right.
If I was full of that, I wouldn't be able to fight for him to be alive. So instead, I gave him to God and said, you take him. I want nothing to do with him. I don't want to even talk about him or know his name or hear about him ever again.
What's kind of great about this is you talk deeply about your faith. How did you grow up?
That's how I grew up, in a very charismatic Christian church. I was on the puppet team. We were there 3 times a week.
Okay.
I knew what to do to resist the devil, and I knew it immediately, and I refused to let him take him.
It's interesting that, because I went to Catholic school up until 8th grade. What?
The kids are slamming doors.
Oh, slamming doors.
Yep, they sure are.
And what do you get? Probably not. They do like to make noise during the whole situation. It's when I interview people, as I'm talking to them, I try to picture me in their shoes at that same time.
Yeah.
It would have been very, very difficult. So, did the guy just stand there after he threw your son off
No,
the
he fell to
balcony?
the ground, and he was trying to get back up. I remember him trying
The
to.
guy did?
Yeah.
Because he fell down after he threw your son over
Yeah.
the. I wonder what that was all about. Why he would fall down.
Well, I mean, Landon was 5, so he was kind of heavy, I'm thinking.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true. Is this guy a big guy?
No.
There's a little fella. And
I mean, not that I really know, but. Not big muscles or anything, no.
so what did he do there? Where did he go?
So he was trying to get to the light rail as fast as he could.
Oh,
I think he
okay.
walked he knew where to go, where to run. There was a man in his, 60s or 70s who body checked him. Got him.
Really? Is that right? This story's getting better by
Which
the
is
minute.
so cool, because he was like 1 second from getting away on that light rail, but because
Yeah.
that man body checked him, it knocked him off enough to have to get back up and go. He was sitting on the light rail right before it closed when they got him.
God, really?
Yeah.
So they got him right away. They got him because of this man.
Yeah.
That stepped in.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful that people do things like?
Yes.
I mean, if the guy's 67 years old, he put himself in a little bit of danger doing that.
For sure.
But he
And
did
he
it
was on the
anyway.
first floor, and he didn't even know what happened. He just knew he was running from something.
Oh, he didn't even know?
No.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yes, when we came home from the hospital, I wanted to celebrate and acknowledge all the people who helped Landen. So he was in the police report. So we had this party called the Perfect Celebration Party, and I invited all of the ambulance drivers, the
you
police
did?
drivers. I found his name. We invited him. He didn't come. The man who checked him.
Oh, he didn't?
He didn't come.
Oh.
But all the doctors and nurses, we just had a party to celebrate everybody who had a hand in this because there were so many people.
It's just so amazing to go through something like that. You handled it so well. But was that because your faith in God?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's a wonderful thing. I wish, whether people want to believe there's a being or there's heaven or there's this or that, you got to have somebody who's more important than you are.
Absolutely.
Why don't people see that anymore? Whether you want to believe in God or not, God just is a shortened good.
Yes.
You don't want to believe in goodness?
No, exactly. And we're
It's
just,
like,
I don't
what?
know, I believe we're here on earth for such a short time.
Oh, yeah.
That there
Well,
you
why'd
have
you look
to
at me
believe
when you said that?
Okay.
you have to believe in something bigger than yourself or that's it.
Absolutely
Then you're done.
right. That's exactly what it is. And that for Catherine, Catherine's been out of town for 5 days. I'm picking her up this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting my life back.
Yeah.
We're that close. I adore that woman.
Yeah.
Our son, our daughter, our grandchildren. I mean,
Yeah.
if you think that you're the most important thing in the world because
Yeah.
all those people came from you, then you're nuts. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because they worked out a lot better than I would have. If I was directing, it would have been much worse for Andy and Alex.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? Don't
We'd
say
be
yeah.
the most spoiled brats.
Well,
on
that's
the
true. You would
planet.
be spoiled. I'm big on the kids.
Yeah.
Mom
There's no
kept it
question
real.
about it.
She's like, no, get a job. And you're
Get
like,
a
money?
job.
Okay.
Get
how
out there
much
and
do
get a
you
job.
need?
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you ever go through a period of strife, even though you have a deep faith in God?
Not in the hospital. I didn't leave there. I stayed there for the
Oh, you
full
did?
4 months just because I
The
did
full
not.
4 months?
Yes, I did not
Whoa.
want. I did not want to be distracted with the outside world at
Yeah,
all because
yeah.
I knew. But my husband couldn't come in, so this is another part.
Oh, he
where
couldn't?
He did not see Landen for the first 11 days that he was intubated because he would be so broken. He came every day to the hospital to our door where we were, and he'd walk the halls moaning and talk to every nurse and doctor
yeah,
he could. He wanted to
yeah.
know exactly what was going on, but then he would leave. He said, "I'm not coming in to see him until he is awake and knows that I'm here."
Oh, God, that's great.
So he didn't, but he was able to go home and be with our twins. We have twins that are 2 years older than Landen who needed to go to school still and have a normal life.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And he didn't want to tell them what happened because he didn't want them to be fearful. So he just said Landen fell at the mall.
Oh,
and
that's a
Mom-
good idea. Yeah,
And
that's
Mom
a
is
good
going to
idea.
stay with. And so my daughter, when school got out, she did come to the hospital every day. Her routine was get dropped off and hang out with us just every day. And then my son had friends and sports to do with my husband.
Did your son ever go through a period where, in his own mind, he thought, well, I must have done something wrong for the man to do this?
Nope, absolutely not. As
Good.
As soon as he woke up, I said, you fell, you fell, and we can't go home till every bone in your body is healed.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't know until we got home. Then people started kind of telling him things.
That was a guy.
And
that
I
threw
always
him,
told
yeah.
him something was really wrong with that man. He was hurting. He must not have a mommy who loves him. He was hurting so badly that he wanted to hurt you, but we don't have to worry about that because he's in
Nope.
jail and God will take care of him and we don't have to think about it.
So where is he now? Do you know?
I think he's in Moose Lake. I think
Oh, he's still in
Is Moose
jail?
Lake Stillwater? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, Moose Lake's a little north of Stillwater.
Yeah, I
but
think that's
more
where he is.
Further east.
I don't know.
How? I mean,
He got a
It's a
19-year sentence, which I think is
attempted murder.
I know. And
mean, it is.
Why is it that I just don't understand that he wanted to kill Landen, but Landen didn't
Mm-hmm.
die, so then he's not punished as severely.
That's the thing. That it's like
amazing looking at
he
it
had
that
nothing
way.
to do with the outcome of
Right.
what ended up happening with your son.
Yes.
Like it should be like the intent is what.
But
gets
because
you your
Landen got
sentence.
off, he gets a lenient sentence. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I know.
I don't know.
I got to tell you, Andy was a very feisty kid. So when he was like 5 years old, we didn't have to go through any of that stuff, but I did have to threaten guys to leave him alone.
Really?
Why is your kid so rowdy, yelling, screaming and yelling and running around? And I'd have to go, shut up.
Yeah. I know.
Shut up.
Papa
He's
Bear.
5. Yeah, Papa Bear.
Yeah,
Leave him
everybody
alone,
has
be
that
quiet.
instinct in them that they'll fight for their children.
I hope everybody does have that instinct. Is there anything better than a family anyway?
No.
Seriously, can you think of anything better than your families, Andy,
No.
Alex? I mean, the whole deal. I'm going to see your mom after 5 days. It's going to be the greatest thing
Where was she?
ever. She was in Washington, D.C., running the country probably. But it was 102 degrees with 100% humidity.
Wow.
Sounds lovely.
Oh my gosh.
It must have been horrible.
Yeah.
That must have been hard to take, I would imagine.
Yes.
None for me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you just, as soon as you walked in the door, you started talking about who you are. I like that because a lot of people try to hide who they are now. And if they do have a lot of faith in God, well, I don't want to bring it up. But you.
Oh no,
that's
Landon's
wonderful.
alive because of this. Yes.
Well, there you go.
You know, I kind of go back to this miracle, I call him the Minnesota Miracle, and we're a really strong sports family. We love the Miracle on Ice story.
Oh yeah.
Then
yeah.
the Vikings Miracle story. I'm calling Landon the third Minnesota Miracle. So
Could you make the Twins the fourth Minnesota Miracle? Because they suck right now. So that'd
I
be
know.
great. If you could do that, that'd be wonderful.
what this just shows, like when your state, when your community comes together, when you think that the odds are against you and there's no hope, and you hang on a little longer and everyone rallies behind you, which they did in all three of these instances, there's victory. And
Oh,
it's
yes.
something
Yep.
to be proud of.
There's still people out there, and not as I don't think it's as much as when I was a kid and all the rest of it, growing up in North Minneapolis. But there would be guys in my neighborhood who would impregnate a woman, the baby would be born, and they'd never even bother to go
I
see
know.
the kid. This is your child.
I know.
Why do you not want to see your own child?
I
right?
know.
Oh, it was unintentional. So what? There's a human being here.
Walking around, that's yours.
Yes.
Yes. I know. I never understood that either.
I could never understand why you wouldn't want to see your own child.
But find the good things and focus on that. Otherwise, you'll keep going down these dark holes
That's
and
true.
wonder, and you'll
Dad.
get lost
What do
there.
you mean, yeah, Dad?
Yeah, Dad.
Yeah, Dad.
Dad.
Okay, is that the ticket?
He isn't great at focusing on the good,
It's true.
generally speaking.
What are you talking about?
You have a lot of.
I just told you how I adore your mother.
Yes, I
and
mean,
you guys
no,
are wonderful.
yes, in this context, you did, but the
Well, but you
lot
have
of
to
the time
understand-
there's everybody's money grubbing.
Well,
and
they
the
are.
There is a
It's
lot of
just-
darkness.
You got that right. It's
Yeah.
like these people, and it just,
There's a lot of darkness.
and the money grubbing is just
Okay, I shouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah, way to go, Alex. Way to go.
So did
Typical.
he make a full recovery?
Yes. Like
Okay.
a complete full recovery. I
Oh, really?
seriously refuse to walk out of there in a wheelchair or on any medication.
Yeah.
And so it was really looking bad for a while. There was one doctor who came in and said to me, and I knew he could tell he didn't think he was gonna live. Everybody else was on my side, but this one I just had the energy. Like he was just like warning me. And he came in the middle of the night and he said, you can't maintain this warrior status forever. And
What?
I said, watch me.
Watch me,
That's what I
pal.
said. And then I'm like, okay, I don't want his energy.
Why would a doctor say
don't
that
know.
to you?
I don't know. And I said, well, I just really want to know that this is going to come to an end at some time. Like I can hang on through all this
Mm-hmm.
if there's going to be an end.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that's what everybody on this floor wants. And I said, okay.
Different kind of an
Great.
end,
Glad
though,
we're on
right?
the same page.
Yeah. And I understand that. But just for me, I was in my battle at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just needed a little encouragement sometimes. But when I wasn't getting that, I thought, okay, I don't want this man around here.
Yeah, that makes sense. No,
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
total sense. Does your son carry with him any leftover anxiety, or he didn't get any brain damage, right?
No, I mean so he went into this really shy, quiet, polite. My other
Oh.
two were loud and wild.
I could see that. Yes.
They told me
Yeah.
that because of where his brain injury, he will be more impulsive as he grows, and could be louder, more that kind of thing, and totally was. As soon as we came out, it was 5 days before kindergarten. I refused to let him miss any kindergarten. I just wanted him to get him out. We're getting back, even though he had a huge open belly wound that needed to be dressed. He was in the hospital that whole time broke his femur twice, so he was limping. He went to kindergarten like that. But he was louder, hitting kids. I
Really?
mean, all kinds of. He was on so much pain medicine when I
Yeah,
left. One of the doctors told me that he is on more pain medicine than a grown man can handle. So this is going to be years to get him back. And it was. He was doing like stuff like this with his eyes. Just not him. So I really did have to mourn that I lost the Landon I had, and I now have this one. That was very hard.
Oh yeah. I would
But
imagine.
now 6 years later, I got him back, and he's better.
So
than
he's back and
yes.
he's good.
Yes.
His injuries don't bother him anymore.
There's no more injuries. He has scars all over his body, and he'll show you every single one of them.
Yeah, there you go.
There's only one. This is the only one from the actual fall. All the rest are from surgeries or casts or something.
Did you sit at home alone at night, or your husband, his father, sit at home alone and go, "Why did this happen?"
No.
Never?
No, because I honestly think that the world needed a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a little girl, when I was 11 years old, or 8 years old, my sister was 11, our house was held at gunpoint.
Oh God. Okay.
So
So far, it's been an even keel
I
deal for
know.
you.
I wrote this
That's
book. I had to
wonderful.
write a book because so many pieces happened that I needed to get them all done on one piece so I could see how this started when I was a kid.
God.
And since then, even when Landon was a baby, he almost drowned in our pool twice. I feel like the devil's
Landon, how we doing, Landon?
the devil's trying to take him out because I think
Yeah.
God was going to show the world this miracle. Like, he should not be alive, and he's alive. And so now everybody just got to see who God is. And I believe that he allowed it to happen to show that because he was going to save Landon. And that's what I truly believe. So I don't look at it like, no,
Right.
this shouldn't have happened. We just saved a whole bunch of people. We just showed the world who God was.
Do people ever try to argue with you and say it wasn't just the faith in God?
Yeah,
it was
once in a while.
I bet you they do. That's why I'm
He
asking.
could have lived if this or that. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not here to argue. You don't.
No.
You can
No.
have that opinion, and I don't care. That's fine.
I got to tell you one thing, that my mother was it's a big time Roman Catholic. Used to pray all the time and all the rest of it.
Should the rosary twice a day.
Said the rosary twice a day.
The full one.
Yep.
And
Wow.
the last time I ever saw her, she died at 88 years old. And I said, "Mom, don't worry about it." And the doctor said, "You're probably not going to make it through today,
Yeah.
but don't worry about it because you have deep faith in God and you'll be taken care of." And she looks at me and goes, "Yeah, don't give me that." I was like, what? Over
That's-
the day you're dying, you're telling me this?
That's
like,
funny.
whatever.
Huh.
And she did
She
hang
was
on.
very highly medicated at that point, though.
She was,
So-
absolutely.
Was she scared to die, or was she knew where she was going and she was fine?
I think she was so medicated,
Yeah,
like
she
she
didn't
didn't know
really
who
care.
people
She
were
was out of it.
at
Yeah,
that point. So I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
she really wasn't there
Yeah.
anymore, So.
Yes. So yeah.
And the thing about it was that,
Don't give me that.
don't give me that.
Like,
It's
great.
yeah, Mom,
okay. Mom.
Okay.
But she sparked back and she didn't die that day.
Oh.
And then we had to go down to Florida on some, for
Yeah.
some things. So I wasn't there when she died.
Oh.
But it kind of worked out with me, the fact that the last time I saw her, then she didn't just die.
Yeah.
It took a few more days. And
Yeah.
it's so, you had to have thought of that throughout this whole deal, that, God, what if it reverses and he gets worse?
Absolutely not. I
Never.
refuse. I never let my
Really?
mind go there. No, he needed to live. He needed to live.
Well, there you
I
go.
needed him, and he gave me him, and he gave me this miracle. So I thought, he's not going to give me this miracle and take him away. So I'm here to fight.
Does he have any? He's 11 years old now.
Yeah.
So he's getting to that age where he's almost, 11, 12.
He's a tween. I have a tween.
I know.
It's
tween.
fun.
No, I have 13-year-old twins in there.
Oh yeah.
Hard.
Middle school.
Because all they want to do
people.
is go to the gas station
Why do they
I
want
was
to go to the gas
obsessed
station?
because
Do
it's
you know-
freedom.
Do you know how many times I went to the gas station when I mean, it was different for us because we lived far away from everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anytime I went over to a friend's house, can we go to the gas
Yes.
station?
All they
yeah.
want to do is go to the
Why?
gas station all day, every day.
Go get some snacks.
Yes.
Oh, I suppose.
Wander
yeah.
Get a
around.
slushy,
Yeah.
They're out of the house, and Mom will always say yes to the gas station because you can go get a snack and come right back.
God.
But that's all they want to do every day all summer. Can we go to the gas station?
Want to go to the gas station?
No, can you send me some money? That's what it
Yeah,
is all day,
well,
every
there-
day.
yeah, there
and
you
now
go.
Landon wants to go, and he's 11. I never let them go when they're 11, but when you're the younger one, you get to do what the older ones do.
Landon's at that age right now where it's going to start kicking in. What am I going to do with this? I got through this.
Yeah.
I feel much, much better now. Is there some very special reason for me to do something from here?
I don't put any
whatever.
pressure on him or anything.
No, I understand.
And I actually keep doing podcasts and interviews and stuff. And my
Mm-hmm.
husband said, we're done with Landon doing this because Landon's a
Yeah,
child.
I
He doesn't need to
understand
be
that.
going on interviews, and we're done with the Landon show.
Actually, he said, I don't want him around Tom.
That guy.
That guy,
Because my husband wants to be thankful for the miracle, move on, and heal. Where I
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
have to keep
yeah.
talking about it because I believe that this is such a big miracle that he gave me that I have to keep sharing it. So he said,
Mm-hmm.
you go ahead and do what you want to do. Just don't involve us. Let us be us. and you can go do it without involving Landon or me.
Does anyone ever try to argue with you? It's like, there's no God. That's not what it was.
Nobody has tried to. I've heard people like on TV say, oh, he could have survived if this or that. But
Right.
no, I've never had anybody argue with me on there's no God. But this is a undeniable miracle. And there was many things that happened
yeah.
along the way too in the hospital that when I say them, people are like, whoa, that can't just happen. Like, for instance, this is just a
Right.
weird one. We had a code word to come up to our hospital room. So to get in, there were so many people showing up, nonstop to come visit you. And they said, make a code word to come up here because if they don't say it, they can't come. And I didn't care because I'm,
Right.
busy doing other things. So my cousin said, okay, say Emmanuel because it means God is with us. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, fine, I don't care. 2 weeks in, I'm sitting in Landon's hospital bed. My sister texts me that, do you know the name of the man who threw Landon is Emmanuel?
It is?
And I'm
Honest to God? Oh, my God.
And my first reaction was, oh no, I don't want people saying that word to come up to our
Yeah.
room.
Oh,
I was
God.
crying. We
Yeah.
changed
Yep.
the word to perfect because I claimed it
Perfect.
perfect.
That'd
And
be
I also
good.
made the doctors and nurses, when they came in to give reports, they would say, we're working on this. This looks not okay. We're working on this. And I'd say, but he's perfect. And they'd say, yep, but he's perfect. And the doctors and nurses even adopted that word. So anyways, we changed the word to perfect. Well, years later, when I started writing this book, I thought, how cool is it, which I never thought of before, that the name of the man who threw Landon is Emmanuel,
God.
which means God is with us.
Means God
So
is
God
with
was with us through him.
Well, there you go.
Who could deny that? And
a
we were
very
saying
good
it as a
point.
code word, and we didn't know it.
And where's that guy now? Do you know?
Yeah, he's in Moose Lake.
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
at Moose Lake in prison.
Yeah.
19 years?
19 years, but apparently he can be up for parole in 2031.
Did anyone from his side ever try to reach out to you and
No,
try to explain this at all?
I think that they were on some newscast that people showed me later, saying that he had mental health issues and he needs help.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
It's clear.
So I don't know. I really gave him to God and left him there that day. I don't want to know anything about him.
No, I understand that
Yeah.
because I would not be one of those people who go, oh, as long as he needs some help, No.
No.
You threw my kid over the balcony. I hope you die.
Well,
So-
I just hope God can work, whatever. God can punish him or forgive him.
Mm-hmm.
You can be forgiven for anything if you want to be.
Has your family always been this way?
Oh, so that's what I was going to say is when we were held at gunpoint, this intruder came into our house.
Oh, Jesus. I still
And
can't
held us
believe
all
it.
at gunpoint, one by one, brought us down into the living room. And my dad was a faith-filled man, and the whole time he was praying and asking, just praying out loud to confuse. He was trying to confuse the intruder. And my mom was asking questions nonstop, like, can I get my glasses? I have to go to the bathroom, all this stuff. So they were doing these things, and all of us kids were calm. I think because my dad was praying, and he was telling us to stay calm and pray. Everybody pray. So, we were praying to confuse him. He brought us out in the garage, and my dad said he was waiting for a chance to grab the gun.
Oh, yeah.
But he kept hearing, not yet, not yet. We went out in the garage, and I held up some keys to the car. He wanted to put us in a trunk and drive my mom to cash machines.
Oh, sure.
So he was, holding the gun, and I yelled, here's the keys, and held them up, and the man looked, and my dad grabbed his hand,
Ooh.
punched him in the face, got him to the ground, kept hitting him and holding, the gun on the floor. And the guy and the gun went off.
Oh, it did?
It was it had 27 bullets in it.
In the gun?
Yeah.
What kind of gun?
It was a big gun, and it had 27 bullets in it.
Yeah.
Man.
And he kept saying, I give up. And my dad said, well, let the gun go then. But he would not. He had a death grip on the gun and wouldn't let it
yeah.
go. So my mom was trying to pry his fingers off. And while she was doing that, he bit her really hard in the leg. She had to go get a rabies shot.
Ugh.
But the next day, we had newscast. This happened at 4 a.m. So our neighborhood was circled with newscasts. Same kind of thing. We were on the John and Sharon. Do you remember John and Sharon from Good Company?
Sure,
They came to our
absolutely.
house. They did a reenactment of the whole thing because of the way our family responded in prayer and fought the whole time with confusing them with God save us. God. So I think that the reason I did what I did when Landen was snatched is because that's what my dad did when I was a kid.
It's what an amazing story. Do you think, now this is a bit off topic, but just talking about your deep faith and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Why have people now chosen, and it seems to be around the world,
Yeah.
I don't want to believe in God, I want to believe everything is evil.
I don't know why people want. Why would you want to?
It makes no sense to me.
So even if I'm wrong and you're right that there's evil when you die, do you want to be when I die, if I'm wrong, at least there's nothing.
There's nothing.
But if you're wrong, you're not going to heaven. If you're wrong, you're done.
That's true.
So what would you rather believe?
Why is it that people want to embrace trouble and heartache? And it makes no sense to me.
You don't have to. I know it's all a choice.
Yeah, it is.
Everything's
all
a choice. So I don't know
question.
why you would choose that, but some people, I don't know, they're hurting so bad they don't want to believe there's good.
How can you hurt so bad if you got a family?
I know. That's what I think.
My whole life is based. Don't you?
Yeah.
Both of you agree that?
Yeah, but I mean, some families are horrible.
Well, that's because I didn't design it like this
there's
family.
There's some really, really awful families. Like, my kids will have questions about, like, oh, why? Like, we had a long discussion about people that are, what is it now, unhoused? Is what you're supposed to say.
Unhoused, yes. Not homeless.
People
they're unhoused.
experiencing homelessness.
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to say.
Oh.
And because there's this woman that sits at an intersection near our house all day, every day, and like I feel like you just, see people around. And so I had this long discussion. They're like, well, why do these people not have jobs? And why do they need to ask for money? And I'm like, well, there's two different situations. And I'm like, some of it is like mental health issues, or maybe they were raised in a family because they're like, why doesn't their family help them?
Yeah.
I'm like, some people don't have a family
Some
that
people don't have one,
cares
yeah.
about them,
Yep.
or like friends that care
Yeah.
about them. I'm like, you have to think about how lucky you are that you have
It's true.
family and friends that would do anything for you.
Puts
And,
life
like,
in
they don't have
perspective to
that.
be
Yeah.
thankful and grateful for what you have.
Yep.
And do the best you can help other people, but sometimes they don't even want to be helped.
That's
No,
true.
they
And
don't.
that's
That's-
another
Yeah.
thing too. It's like sometimes maybe the families tried to help them over and over and over again, and they just wouldn't accept it and just kept making bad decisions. And so the families are just like, "You're going to do what you're going to do." I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it for like
Yeah.
an hour.
I
They had
know.
so many questions. I was like, okay.
My
thing
kids
that-
go through that too.
Yeah.
And I suppose because I've been through some of it myself, but the amazing thing for me is, once again, people don't want to believe there's a greater good out
No.
there, which, makes no sense to me. But they'll believe every lie that's being told
Yes.
about a famous person.
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
want to believe the negative lies.
Oh, yeah, that's entertainment to them.
Oh, God.
I know.
It's just, why don't you want to be happy?
I
Why do you
know.
want to be miserable?
I don't know. So you just got to choose who you hang out with or what you listen to. I
Yeah.
do feel like I
Yep.
keep myself in a bubble because I don't like going down those rabbit holes.
Same here.
Yeah.
I definitely
Yes.
like. People are like, "Oh, did you hear what happened?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not."
No.
No, I did not
I
hear
have
what
no
happened.
idea what
Nope,
you're talking
it's better
about.
to not know.
Why don't I
Great.
take that final break here, Andy? We'll come back and wrap things up in about a couple minutes.
Works for me.
Thank you. I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Ladies and gentlemen, Twin Cities Savers online summer auction. Now we're talking. It ends today, the 26th at 8 p.m. tonight, as a matter of fact. Where to bid? Visit scorenorth.com. Enter keyword auction to view and bid on items. You know what I love about Alex? She always tells her kids to be quiet, but whenever she leaves the door open, and she talks just as loud as she always does.
That's funny.
It's hilarious. Save up to 70% off retail prices, tens of thousands of dollars, and items up for grabs, like the zero-turn lawn mower, the airport hotel stays at the Intercontinental. Intercontinental is a nice hotel for your next getaway. All-inclusive spa getaway at Buffalo Ridge and Spa, compass cart and rack system, a 40-foot shipping container, Tom. That's good.
Stripping container.
Private golf lessons to your game. Get your game in great shape. Let me put it that way. Here's the deal. Visit scorenorth.com and enter keyword auction to view, bid, and win. Click it, bid it, win it. And again, of course, why pay full price when you can save up to 70%? Kids still battling out there?
No, they're just, for some reason, they can't quietly close that other door.
Oh, that's never happened.
Very
There's no question about
loud
it.
door closing action.
Way to go, Fawn.
Nice work.
Troublemaker.
Your next guest is here, by the way. So
Oh, he can come in if he wants.
We said 11:45.
Oh, he can come in as we say goodbye.
All right.
We could do that. Well,
Well,
plus, he's a,
segue.
plus, he's a news reporter, so he'd probably love it. Have you ever met any of the newspaper people?
And I don't know.
They didn't cover it? Yeah. Neil Justin's been with Star Trek. God, he's been, I don't know how many years it's been now. It's been a while. But yeah, well, somebody, why don't you go out there and tell him that Fawn would tell me she should come in. Thank you. Oh, she looks real happy about
she's our
that.
receptionist.
Are they twins?
No, they get that a lot.
They look like the same age.
They're
they?
almost 2 years apart.
Oh, really? Wow.
But she's very small for her age.
Well,
She's
didn't you
9
s-
and he's 7.
Didn't you say that Ethan weighs as much as Sage?
Yes.
My son Ethan is 3
Come
and a half.
on in.
You can go there.
What does that say? Camp what?
Just says camp.
Just says camp.
It just says camp.
How are you, sir?
Marvelous. We'll get you set with a set of headphones, and we're closing out an interview that you're going to want to hear the end of anyway. There's no question about it.
Can I hear on these?
Yeah, I would
They're
think
not
so.
attached to anything?
Yeah, we charged them.
Bluetooth.
It uses
No, he's going to tell me they don't
radio
work.
waves.
But other than that,
Whatever.
it's all there. You got
Wow.
them working?
Yep.
So you're good to go.
I'm good to go.
I want to introduce the two of you because it's, well, you've been covering news how many years?
Here in Minneapolis, 33 years.
33 years I've been having
Yeah,
to
it's
put up
almost
with
as
you.
old as you are, Tommy.
I was going to say, I'd had to put up with you for 33 years now.
Most of
It's
it,
nothing
yeah.
but pain.
Yeah.
Kari is with us today. 5 years ago, her
6.
son, oh no, 6 years ago, that's
Yeah.
right, he's 11. Her son was thrown off the third floor balcony at the Mall of America.
So sorry.
Thank you.
But it's a great story,
It's a
Neil.
good miracle. There's a good ending.
There's a good
So we're not
miracle
sad.
ending.
Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You just, maybe this would be a good way to do the crossover here, because I always wonder, she has a great deal of faith in God and in goodness, in general goodness. But most people now, they want to believe in God or a greater good or whatever it is. Most people want to believe every lie that's being told them by the media, whether it's radio, television, whatever. People lie constantly now, and everyone believes them. How did we get there?
Well, when you say everyone, are you dividing the media with the Yahoos on Twitter and Instagram and all
Well,
that?
no, let's include them all because everybody
Okay.
loves to lie now. I think there's a number one thing they love to do now is lie. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I think it's become even more critical that you find sources that you believe in
I
and
agree.
trust.
I agree.
Because there's so much to choose from. How did you find the media treated? Sorry to step in here. Let
No,
a
I
real,
love this.
Let a real reporter step
Yeah,
in.
absolutely, absolutely.
You can go to the restroom, Tommy.
Okay, I'll be right back.
How did you find the mainstream media treated your tragedy compared to the Yahoos that are on social media and all that?
Good. I never felt like I was attacked in any way. It was more, what did this man do that they were talking things about. But for me, they didn't. I never felt that I was lied to or lies were happening about us.
Yeah, I think what happens now is we're all kind of thrown into the same bin by people like Tommy.
It's
and
me, of course. Yeah,
It's very easy to do. I do the same thing. I mean, you say, where did you get your news from? Where people read about
Yeah.
what happened to you and your son. They don't differentiate between people spreading rumors and innuendos and assumptions as opposed to what you hope are legitimate media sources like our great TV stations here, the Star Tribune and so on, that make it a practice. It's their job
Yeah.
to try to get it right.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of in the same boat on this internet thing out there, and it's hard for people to differentiate.
Yeah.
And so you hear all kinds of things. Did you find that you had to deal with a lot of mistruths?
No.
Good. from anyone.
I don't think so. I mean, I also don't go searching for things very often.
That's very smart.
And I don't
It is,
also read
absolutely.
comments.
You know, Tommy Googles himself every night.
Yes, there's no. That's what I
He
want to
edits
do.
his Wikipedia
So
page
watch,
before bed.
there's
That's
probably
what
a
I
lot of
wanna
lies
do.
about me, but I don't even know. I've never found one. I haven't never sought one out either, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like to read comments because it just makes me, I don't know. I just want to stay where I am, and I don't want to go down any dark holes.
Yeah. And it's easy to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always amazed, and you hear this all the time, Tommy, people saying they don't have time to read the news. Or
Oh, yeah,
listen to
right,
it,
yes.
But they have time to spend 8 hours on,
Social
YouTube or
Yeah.
Instagram
Oh, yeah.
or,
Oh, yeah.
it's amazing. So people have the time.
Which is why the news is now on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It isn't news. Some of that is
Good point.
legitimate,
Good point.
good news, and you can get really good, reliable news through social media. In theory, it should be
Yeah.
good. All these podcasts should be fantastic. I mean,
Well,
because
they
you have
are.
more choices.
This one is.
But then you get, but how many of them are really good, and how many of them are really responsible?
Not a lot.
Not
That's
a
true.
lot.
That
So
is true.
the more choices, the more pitfalls there are.
I think that's true. Now, you're more than welcome to stay if you don't have to go, because it's going to be an interesting conversation. I can guarantee you that.
There might even be a fist fight. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now, you know what's
If,
so
if,
funny?
if that starts, you'll see me run. Out there. And even though, Tommy's got a few years on me, he still beat the crap out of me. So.
I would say that here's what how many years, when was the first time you interviewed me? How many years ago was that?
Well, it must have been 27, 28.
27, 28 years ago. And what's
Wow.
amazing is when I go out to functions and all the rest of it, and people bring up the old shows and this and that and the other thing, and for 25 years now, God, you must hate Neil Justin and he hates you. And it's like, no. They go like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I said, why would I hate him? He's doing his job. If I don't agree on a couple of things, I can talk to him and go, I don't know. But people think that you and I hate one another.
Really?
Absolutely they do.
That's funny.
I remember, it's always an interesting lesson when I talk to young journalism students. I'll bring this
Oh,
up from
yeah.
time to time.
Yep.
That you did not talk to the Star Tribune for a long time. When I got here, there were many years, and I don't remember the history, but
I don't either.
there was some history where you kind of had refused to talk to them, and you weren't talking to the media very much.
No.
And I called you, and not for an interview, but to get to know each other.
Yeah, I
And
do
we had a
remember that,
couple of dinners, a couple of drinks.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 or 3 of them before we, had an on the record conversation. And I use that as an example of sometimes it takes time to earn people's
No doubt.
trust.
Yeah.
No doubt
And
about it.
I remember we hit it off over music and some other stuff, and just got to know each other
Mm-hmm.
and trust each other a little bit. And in this, we're in such a hurry to get stories up
Yeah.
so quickly, and you certainly saw that. I mean, everybody
Yes.
wanted the latest detail.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to be first. I got to be first.
Yeah.
And it can be cold.
Yeah.
We can forget that this is a family going through a horrible
Yeah, that's true.
tragedy, and because look, I get it. Everybody wants to be first, and everybody's eager for information.
Yeah.
But when you can, to take that time and get to know somebody,
Yeah.
especially somebody who's pissed off or nervous or skeptical, like Tom was,
Yeah.
is really important. And so I think it was maybe 6 months maybe longer before the first time we sat down and had a couple of off the record conversations. I don't know if you remember those, but
That was a long time ago. That was. It's interesting. At that time in my life, I used to play golf with Royce, and I used to do this, I used to do that, and then because of politics, not just news reporting, whatever, because of politics, a lot of that got blown up, and unfortunately, it's like, I was raised a Democrat. My mother was a big time Democrat, and then I tried being a Republican for. I'm kind of. And I don't dislike Democrats or Republicans, far left and far right, I'm not wild about. Mm-hmm. But I don't really have a party anymore. It doesn't mean I don't like the Democrats or the Republicans. It's a different fit for me. One thing about, and you probably know this because your name appears every day in the public, being famous in Minnesota is not that great a thing. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I've never been famous like you.
Everybody knows who you are, don't they?
No. No, I don't
They
think
don't
people
know. You've been the top reporter there for what? What'd you say? 30 years almost?
No, it's not the same as TV and radio.
Well, I suppose. Yeah, maybe. That's
But
what it is.
why do you think it's worse here in Minnesota than it is in other parts of the country?
I would say, observing, and I was born here, raised here. I love it here. Don't get me wrong, but there are people in this state. Their whole lives are dedicated to not liking famous people or successful people.
Jealousy, you think?
No, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, I do think that's a big part of it. And sometimes it's just, look, some of my best friends are Scandinavians, but I don't know I fit in too well with that crowd. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. It's a whole different situation. But I mean, I love the fact that you're sitting here in this deal because many, many people think you and I would never even talk to each other. It's like, no, that's, you get to have your opinion of me, whether you like this part of me or not. That's fine. I have never had a problem with that. But I think I learned that growing up on Plymouth Avenue, that if you're going to be upset by everything, you're going to be out here fighting every day.
Well, I would argue that you have a chip on your shoulder, and I think it's one of the reasons you're successful.
Oh, really?
You don't agree?
No. Do you think it's...
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, God, my own son turns on me.
Yeah. I was going to say, your family knows better than anybody. And that chip on your shoulder, and I think that's true for a lot of successful people.
If not all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's... maybe Tom Hanks doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. I don't know.
Oh, he does.
Well, it
He's
does
been-
seem like fame... I mean, something has to drive fame.
That's right.
And in a lot of times, it's showing everyone what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever said you can't do it, you have
Right.
to do this so you can show them that you can.
I think so, and that could be a driving motivation. I agree, and that sort of it's me against the world thing can drive you. I think a lot of successful people have problems sleeping at night.
They probably do.
They're worried about that. You may be. I'm willing to bet, and maybe I hope for your mental health that it's not true anymore. But I'll bet when you were starting off, you had trouble sleeping, or
I definitely did.
turned to other things. I turned to booze. I mean, we had our crutches because we needed something to build up that mentality that it's me against the world, and I got to fight a little bit harder than everybody else to get over that. The truth of it is, probably people didn't think about us as much as we thought.
Yeah, maybe. You may be right
but
about that.
that mentality, I think, can help lead to success.
Yeah, probably.
Oh no!
Oh, you're putting them on camera. Alex, you leaving?
No, that's okay.
All right, we will see you tomorrow. Actually, picking up Mom in
we're going to try to
2 hours.
Mom to come in.
Yeah, because she needs to.
Actually show up again. I mean, it's interesting. It's one of the things that I talk about all the time, and we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Because of my family situation and what happened so early in my family, and at 7 years old, I promised myself that if I ever had a family, I would have a family. And I would be a good father and husband and all the rest of it. So is it unusual to take something horrible like watching your father taken away in a straitjacket? Is it unusual to try to make something positive about that? Like, it's never going to happen to me. I mean, my father, we were just talking about this yesterday. He was screaming and yelling and foaming at the mouth. They got him in a straitjacket. They put him in an ambulance, took him away. But again, my oldest sister, Bobby, lightened the moment because, as I mentioned yesterday, as they're hauling him away screaming and yelling and foaming at the mouth and blah, 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 as they got him out the back door, my sister Bobby looked down at me and said, "Hey, Tommy, I think they think our dad is nuts." Which I will never forget that. It lightened the moment enough that I could deal with it. If she can joke around about it, then I guess I can deal with this in a much better way than I probably would have.
Well, I'm interested in what Kari thinks about when you deal with something like that. It can go either way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
dealt with this horrible thing. You could have gone.
Yeah.
It sounds like you embraced religion and faith.
Yeah.
But somebody could have gone the other way and said, there can't be a God if this happens to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Landon would have
Absolutely right.
died
Yeah.
if that was the case.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who they always wonder, why does evil exist if God is real?
Yeah.
But I mean, free will is
Yeah.
kind of like the whole point, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like evil exists because humans are capable of evil.
Yeah.
Whether there is or is not a God, that's how it is. Humans can be evil.
Yeah, you can choose.
Yep.
Everybody has a choice.
Yeah, although there are plenty of religious people that don't believe in they believe in predetermined destiny.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It doesn't sound like you do. It sounds like you feel like
Yeah.
you have some say.
Yeah, I was telling him that I think that God allowed this to happen because he knew he was going to save him and show the world this miracle.
I see.
And so I'm thankful for this blessing, and I want to keep telling people.
Yeah. Did it strengthen your faith?
Oh, yes.
Were you a deeply religious person before this
Yeah,
happened?
I grew up in a very charismatic Christian church, so
Okay.
I knew. I was always deeply me. I was never like that. I never prayed out loud and walked around like that, but when I needed it, it just flew out of my mouth.
You grew up in church, right, Tommy?
Catholic church, yeah.
And are you still a practicing Catholic? Which direction did you go?
You mean practicing like showing up every Sunday? No. I was never a big churchgoer anyway.
Okay.
It was funny because my mother was Roman Catholic and my father was Southern Baptist. So you want to talk some arguments? Oh my God! It was like, yeah, this is all we need.
Yeah.
But no, I think going to Catholic school was really good for me. There were some rules and all the rest of it. We never had any of those priests that really, you'll be punished if you don't believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because there are some of those
Fire
guys.
and brimstone?
Fire
Yeah,
and brimstone.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But
Would you say you're less religious now than you were 40 years ago, or more religious?
I mean, as far as belief in a greater good,
Yeah.
I think stronger now. I believe there
Really?
must be a greater good somewhere.
You basically never talked about it when I was a kid.
No. I didn't
Interesting.
talk about
So there
religion
is
much.
that.
But, you got to wake up in the morning and go, I graduated high school at 16. I went to college for one day. I've had a pretty damn good life. I don't think that's just luck.
I see.
Yeah.
There were a lot of doors open for me by other people. There were a lot of doors closed by other people, too. Leaning toward trying to learn what people are all about growing up in North Minneapolis is very difficult,
Yeah.
because they could kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part
Yeah.
of the whole deal.
It's amazing. I was just in Detroit a few weeks ago,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I went to some kind of shady neighborhoods because that's where the good blues and jazz music are.
Oh, yeah.
And you see these condemned buildings and
Yep.
drug dealers on the streets, and
Yeah.
it's sort of hinky even before dark. And yet, on every corner there's a church.
Yeah.
And I thought I was
True.
telling my friend, I said, if anybody's turning away from religion, it should be these people, because life has not dealt them a good hand.
Isn't that interesting?
And yet the church is never closed down.
Yeah.
And I just think that's an amazing
It's a safe
thing.
place for them to go, and they know
Maybe
that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Religion is different than having just like when you say religion, you have to go follow all these rules, and everybody has a different religion.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is just personal relationship myself with the Heavenly Father, that I don't need to follow
So that's
certain
great.
religious rules.
Yeah.
Just knowing that He's there when I need Him.
Well, that's the other thing I've noticed in the hour I've been with you is you don't ever use religion to condemn other people.
No,
You
and
just
you
don't
can-
do that.
No.
Which I've never understood that anyway. Believe what I believe or you're going
Yeah,
to
no.
burn
There's a
in
lot
hell.
of churches that do that.
Oh, yes.
A lot.
No.
Probably
A
the
lot.
majority.
Religion divides people, but God
Why?
brings people together.
I just don't understand it.
I don't
Why you
know.
want to be like that? Just
Well, you're not going
calm
to
down.
persuade anybody to your opinion.
No.
So even if you're going to have all these arguments, you're both going to leave upset. So there's nothing to persuade each other, even have that argument.
Well, that's true in politics too, right? I mean,
yes, you're not going
and-
to persuade.
No, but you can learn, and
Yes.
it is a lot of fun to sit. It can be fun.
You can learn, yes.
To sit, or somebody with a different faith,
Yeah.
and sit and learn from them and glean. Okay, here's where we have common ground.
Yeah.
Here's where
Absolutely.
we don't, and why is that? And what can I learn from this other person
Yeah.
that might enhance my education or just curiosity?
And I do
Right.
love doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I was very lucky, and most people would not consider this to be luck, but I was very lucky that whether it's not so much TV people, I got along with them just fine, but I've always had that one or two newspaper person involved in my life.
Yeah.
Before you came along, I used to get a call at least once a week from Jim Klobuchar. Mm-hmm. Sometimes after he'd been drinking quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Jim could drink. I don't know if you remember that or not. But I considered that a blessing. I really did. It's like he would call me and go, Bernard, what are you doing? Did you talk about this? And he'd be yelling at me and all the rest of it. And I just sat and listened. I thought, how lucky am I that I'm getting this person calling me, telling me, I don't like what you said about this.
Yeah.
So it kind of drives you to look at the other side. I've been very lucky because of the press, not so much TV, but radio and newspapers, that when people, there have been a couple I couldn't deal with because you just could not convince them that you weren't the devil. I mean, there's been a couple of those. And you can.
I think it does make a difference to have those conversations, phone calls or in person. I mean, today on social media, it's so much easier to be vindictive and mean and cruel if you don't have to face the person. I always admire the sports columnists who write something critical about an athlete or a team, but then they show up the next day. They're there at practice. And you got to do that.
Right.
A lot of people that criticize sports don't do that. They don't have the ticket, but they don't have the guts to. And I do miss, and I'm not advocating for this necessarily, but when you and I were coming up, after the workday, you went to the bar.
Oh, yeah.
And usually media people went to blue-collar bars. That's where I went. And you sat with the cops, and you sat with the TV anchors, and you sat with the lawyers, and you were forced to talk, and became a little bit easier to talk after a few martinis or beers, and you knew those people face to face rather than now they just took our landlines out of the Star Tribune.
Oh,
they did, really?
All we have is our cell phones now, which I get from a business standpoint. But when I was starting off the business, the phone rang all day long.
Oh, yeah.
The mailbox was full. It's all digital now.
Yep.
It's all digital now. And I get it. I'm not an old geezer that says, the good old days. But it does make it more impersonal, and I think it makes it easier to be callous.
I'll throw this in very quickly because I already talked about it a couple of times, but I went and did the Krabby Coffee Shop podcast over at Hubbard.
Yeah, I did that the other day, too.
Yeah. Those nice
Good
people. Really, really nice people. But we're talking about this whole situation and how this happened and this. And so Kenny said, I want to play something for you. I said, okay. He played this commercial. And it was me doing a commercial for, I don't even know what it was, but it wasn't me. That's terrifying.
AI?
AI. There was, he played the whole thing. It was not me. And I had heard that. I had mentioned many years ago that somebody using a synthesizer somehow changed my voice enough to make me say words that I never said. So I heard that in the car years ago. But now, apparently, I'm doing a lot of commercials now that I didn't know I was doing.
So scary.
So that upsets you a little bit. But I think the whole overall, my reception from some people has been very harsh, but some other people has been very, very good. You know, there were people like Dave Moore. I mean, the fact that when I was a little kid, if you had told me you and Dave Moore are going to be friends, I'm thinking, there's no way. That guy's a legend. He's God, the God. When I was a kid, Dave Moore was the God of news. And then he had bedtime news and showed he had a sense of humor, which made him even bigger. I mean, it was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, you look at this market, don't you think, as far as newspaper, radio, and television, a hell of a lot of really good talent have lived in this market.
Yeah. Kari, have you lived anywhere else?
No.
What town are you from?
Woodbury.
Okay.
I grew up in Brooklyn Park.
Oh, nice.
Brooklyn Park, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think we're very lucky. I would say that TV market-wide, local TV news, we're in the top 2 or 3 in the country. Seattle is very well respected. Denver has good local TV. But even if you go to New York or LA, it's not nearly the quality.
Nope.
The same could be said, I think, for the Star Tribune. The Pioneer Press has struggled financially, but they still have really good people that work there. We have NPR. And you can say that that's just luck or it's really good ownership or whatever. The real reason that happens is the public demands it.
I think
and they
that's true,
reward good journalism, good storytellers. We have good radio here too. And that says a lot about the public. They eventually make those decisions. Did your being in the spotlight for a little while, did that change your level of respect for local media, either increase it or decrease it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't home when I was in the hospital for the first 4 months. I never left, but my husband was. We had to have police stand at the end of our circle and block the media because they were coming so much and knocking on the door. And my husband didn't want my kids to know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Or to get pictures. And
Yeah.
people flew in and delivered sandwich trays, I guess, and stuff, trying to get him to open the door. But he didn't. I didn't even know any of this till I came home. But there were some really, respectable ones who wrote me in the hospial saying, I don't need you to talk now, but whenever you have the time.
Right.
Julie Nelson
Kind
is
of like
one of those.
Tommy and I. Not as important, but yeah.
And I called. She was the first one I called when I was allowed to talk because she just wrote me such nice letters saying, whenever you want to talk, I'm here to listen.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What other advice do you have for people that if they're going to cover something so sensitive like this, what would you advise me and others in the media to do to be respectful of you, but also do our job?
Well, see, the problem was everybody knew what happened, but Landen was never okay, so there was never an update. Like, we didn't have an update. And so when they kept asking for an update, there wasn't one, so it was hard. So it was just hard to keep saying no, answering that question. But what I did appreciate was the text messages and the personal letters that said, I'm here to listen whenever you want to talk.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And
the
those are the
problem with
people I
that is,
kept.
and I'm sure there are bosses saying, whenever is now. We need it now.
Right.
Well, they would report anyways. They reported anyways
Right.
and whatever they had, which is fine. But
And you weren't home, so maybe it's, it sounds like your husband might have been frustrated by media
he was.
on the driveway. Just if you could talk a little bit more about what that's like to be in that pressure cooker.
Yeah, my husband wanted to keep a protective bubble. Like the shades were drawn. He went to the school and said, I don't want anyone talking about this. He did not want my kids to be fearful, my other two, and he wanted them to keep on having their normal life.
Yeah.
And so he really was protecting them. He was very stern on, I'm not talking to any media. So right away we had a lawyer who he would give press releases.
Okay.
So that's how it was handled. But they went around that. That's when they kept pounding on the door and they wanted to get a picture of anything, and an update on anything, where my husband was very mad about that. He told me about it once and he doesn't want to talk about it again.
He's that mad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that difficult.
Because he was really trying to protect our house and keep it normal. He wanted my other two to go to school and come home and everything be normal. We're not all over the news. He tried to keep us out as much as we could. But it was a really hard time. Landen was fighting for his life. He wasn't in the hospital getting better. He was getting worse. And so it wasn't a time to go tell people because we didn't know. There was no answers. I couldn't even tell my parents what was happening.
Was there any part of you that wanted?
Not when I was in the hospital.
Yeah, your focus was just on your son.
When I came home, then I started, people that sent me such nice messages, I replied to them, not for probably a year or maybe even 2 years later. But I did end up replying to everybody who had reached out. And it was nice to know that, I appreciated that they wanted to know, and they genuinely wanted to know, the story, and talk to me, because they cared.
Was it cathartic at all?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I know, Tommy's confessed a lot of deep, dark secrets and personal trauma, and I know he feels better every time he does it.
Every time, there's no doubt
about it. He cried, and
I wrote
I'm
a
about
book.
to cry right now, as a matter of fact.
For a totally
different reason.
Every time you talk about it, you cry a little bit less, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a night when you finally caved in and said, I'm very pissed off, and I'm not going to be positive tonight about this at all?
Yeah, there were 2 times where he had a...
There you go.
Yeah.
You have to.
He had an accidental stomach puncture by one of the doctors where he could have died.
Oh, God.
And they said if they would have hit his intestines, he would have died. And that night, people came running to the hospital, to be with us. And I'm like, no, leave. Everybody leave. I don't want anybody here. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I didn't. Yeah, I was very mad that day. And then the day before, we found out, what the vena cava situation.
Yeah, right,
I gave up then. I didn't want any doctors telling me anything. He came in to give the report, and I ran down the hallway and refused to listen. I was at my breaking point. But that's when the breakthrough comes. As soon as you can't hold on any longer, that's usually, and you really can't. Because there was lots of times where I felt like I can't hang on any longer, but then you do. But when you really can't, I really could not hear that doctor tell me that we're going to take away all these things that he drinks or whatever, because his stomach was intestines were twisted, so we're going to take away drinks when that's all he had was a sip of water that made us happy, and now you're going to take that away. I don't want to hear what you're going to say. What he was going to tell us, he found the issue, and his vena cava had ripped off from his heart, and as he was healing, it was slowly reattaching to his body, so it was closing to the size of a pinhole, and it took 4 months for this doctor to figure it out. And I didn't want to hear his report because I thought he was just going to tell me something.
Right.
So I ran down the hallway and refused to listen to him. His nurse chased me, and she said, he found the answer. You have to hear him. So, yeah.
To live in the hospital for that period of time, you really see behind the scenes, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, you have a perspective of the medical profession that
Yes, I
the rest of
respect
us-
all of them. I don't know how anybody.
Yeah.
I would.
They're just amazing, aren't
No, yes. People say, "Don't you want to be a nurse now?" And I say, "Absolutely not. I would never."
they? No,
Never.
Thanks.
That's the worst. And every time I have to go in for something, I'm just amazed at their spirit and the hard work.
Thank God
and-
people can do these different things. Yeah, even your job seems very hard to report on people.
It can be,
Yeah.
but
All
not
he ever
every
writes,
day.
This guy sucks. That's all he ever writes.
That's right.
It's in there every day.
But I had to go to the ER the other day.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear
Kidney
that.
stone turned out to be.
Oh, that hurts. I heard.
Oh,
That's
geez.
still in there. That's, so we'll see. If I scream at any moment in the next
Exactly.
the next half hour, you'll know why.
Exactly.
But you wait. I think I waited 4-5 hours.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and get ticked off, but then when you go back there in the ER and you finally see you see how busy they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see what they're dealing with. And my little problem,
Yep.
seems minuscule, but they treated me like, I had been in a horrible accident. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just hours and the people that are complaining and
I know.
uh,
Well, you have everything's a choice. You can just think,
Right.
at least I'm alive and I'm getting the help that I need, or you can mumble and grumble and wish I was, and have a horrible 5 hours in there.
Tommy may have asked you this, but you've probably been asked this before. Can you go to the Mall of America?
No,
No, there you go. Good call.
Yeah.
I think I would crumble to the ground
Yeah.
and cry.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I will never.
Never go to the Mall of America. Yeah. Even when it comes up, wow, that's interesting.
Imagine
What's
watching
it
your
like
child.
to answer questions from a real journalist
Other
as
than
opposed
Tom,
to
yeah.
Tomming? Can you-
This has been a very just nice, easy conversation, which
Okay.
it feels good.
Well, this is
You're
one
not,
of the
I'm
reasons.
not really being interviewed.
This is one of the reasons I wanted Neal to come on, because people have this perception, oh, you guys hate one another, and oh my God, it's horrible. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
You can come in and say, you know what, Tom, you're a pain in the ass, and you're doing this completely wrong, and we just don't like it. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me take a look at it, and if you're right, fine.
All right,
If I'm
let me
right-
ask your son now. What your dad just said, do you buy that at all?
I'd have to think about it.
Okay, that's a no.
What do you mean? Think about it.
Yeah, I can just see your
as
dad
even
stroking
keel
his
as it
chin.
gets.
Well, that's a very interesting point, Neil. Maybe I will change.
Well, why would I reach out to you if I didn't?
Oh, you said if I said something about you.
You have a billion times.
Right.
You've hacked me.
Right, and you've just thank you for that
Merciless.
criticism, Neil. That
Yes, Neil,
was
thanks for-
wonderful.
Exactly right. That's
Let me buy you
what
a
I'm talking
car.
about.
Yeah,
you can buy you a car. That's a good. No, I think the reason that I did reach out to you and talk to you about this, I think now is the worst time of all time politically in this country.
Yeah.
It's just hideous.
I don't know. The Civil War was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, at least they had guns, though. They had a little fun. That whole situation. People would never understand. Well, for instance, we talked about on the show and all the rest of it. One of my best friends for many, many decades now, and I love the man dearly. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, is Don Shelby. Don Shelby is not a far-right Republican, I'm here to tell you. And I'm not either, but people think I am. Look, the man is very smart. He actually does care. He's one of my best friends, has been for years. I just love the guy. Matter of fact, last time he was on the podcast, was it a couple of weeks ago, Andy, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
He,
Let's see here.
it wasn't that long ago, but we talk about how much we love one another. Because we do. Yeah, we've been friends for a long. Thanks, I think, to Mark Rosen. That's how I met him all those years ago. But anybody with that much talent, I mean, Don Shelby's one of the greatest news anchors I've ever seen.
He was in on May 7th, but he called in later.
Yeah, he did.
I forget when that was, though.
He called in after that.
I think we've always been divided, and I think it's one of the things that makes our country great, that we have so many different opinions and so many different viewpoints. What bugs me is the disinformation.
Oh, there's a lot of that
misinformation.
now.
And when people's opinions are divided because
Yep.
people are dealing with quote-unquote alternative facts, then you can't even have a discussion. You know, you can't
Right.
you can't find any common ground if somebody just says instantly, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
You can have legitimate disagreements on how the economy should be handled,
Right.
what we should be doing in Iran, abortion, religion, gender equality. I mean, all those things are up for debate as long as you talk in facts.
Yeah.
And you're not being fueled by
Right.
things that are just made up. And that's the danger we've gotten into with this explosion
absolutely.
of social media. But, you know, it was always around. I was thinking about this the other day, that when I was a kid, there was a place like that, and it was the National Enquirer
Yeah, that's right.
and the Star.
Yep.
And they were right
Yep.
most of the time, but not all the time.
I
Or
never
not
read them at all.
Maybe 80%. And they were huge.
They were huge.
You know, those were the biggest magazines in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you know, the Twitter world is National Enquirer times 8,000.
No question.
You know,
Yeah, it's so funny because I go on Twitter to joke around and then I get off. Because if you read Twitter, it just gets more and more and more and more hateful as the day goes by. It's like, God, calm down. Why would you want to waste your life with that much hate in your heart? I don't get it. I don't want to live like
Miserable.
that. You would be miserable. I would
Yes.
be miserable. I know that.
Yeah.
You know, like joking around, people going after him, this, that, and the other thing, and you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you an example right now. The Minnesota Twins are not having the best year they've ever had. And I went after the poll ads many, many years ago, and it cost me big time because people protected them.
in terms of advertising, it cost you? Or in terms of,
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't know the poll. I've met the poll ads. You know, Carl's no longer around, all the rest of it. But you got it. If you're going to put a team on the field that's not even trying to win the World Series, then you're going to take some criticism. Why can't you just accept that, right? If that's the way you want to do it, that's great. And by the way, there's another good example that knowing you and doing what I do. I know when I say certain things and all the rest of it, you aren't going to like that, but I can live with that, you know, whether you like it or not, whatever the situation is.
Sure.
But it's just gotten to the point now, I don't know.
Isn't it amazing that a lot of people that are the most critical and the loudest have the thinnest skin themselves?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, do you think that's a protective measure?
I think a lot of times people that are loud and critical all the time, there's an insecurity there, a bully aspect.
Yep.
And bullies and insecure people are weak.
I would agree with that.
And, you know, it goes back to a lot of racism and sexism and, you know, all that stuff is about me feeling superior to somebody. That's why you see
I
so
think that's
much
true, yes.
so much hatred in classes that are struggling because they want to feel like they're better than somebody.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's true, yeah.
You know, and so people like that, I kind of feel sorry for them.
I
There's
understand
people on
that.
Twitter who are ranting and raving, and they've got 2 followers, and
I know,
you know, they
that's
can't
kinda
spell, and
They can't
you know, and the
spell.
best way to hurt them is just to ignore them.
Yeah.
No, I think that is true. I cannot follow those people. I just can't. There's just too much going on, too much hatred, and everything sucks. No, it doesn't. I have a wonderful life. I have a wonderful family. I got great friends. I mean, don't they look at that side of their life ever? Look at all the good stuff over here on one side. Yeah, might some bad stuff on the right. It's good, whatever, it works. You know, you get through things.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. Well, you know, I don't know. Was it 25 years ago? The media destroyed my voiceover career by lying. But did I get over it? Yeah, whatever.
When did you get over it? This week?
We'll let you know.
Yesterday. It was yesterday when it just happened. No, it took some time to get over because I never did understand. First of all, you're not in the voiceover industry, so you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And second,
Kari and I should be in the voiceover industry.
I think you should, absolutely, there's no question.
These golden throats, I mean, we could sell a lot.
I don't even
golden
know what it
throats.
is.
It's when there's pictures and stuff, and then you hear a voice.
Oh, okay.
You hear the voice of God, like Tom Bernard.
The voice of God.
That's right.
No, but I've been very, very lucky.
Yeah.
We got a, I don't know how many months ago it was, there was a play going on over at the Pavic Museum.
Yeah.
And I showed up for the play because I just thought it sounded interesting.
Mm-hmm,
Well, it turned out that there were so many people there from the media and all the rest of it. Every one of them came over and gave me a hug and said, "It's great to see you."
Wow.
Every one of them. Eric Escala kind of wasn't comfortable with the hug, but he still did it because Kathy Werzer, I adore that woman. She's No, I shouldn't if I'm such a far right nut job. I should not like somebody that works at NPR, should I?
I think the news headline here is that you're a hugger.
No, I love to
I've
hug.
never hugged you in my life.
And
I don't want to start now.
I tried to
just
put you in a headlock that one
Sure.
time, but that whole deal there.
Yeah.
But no, it's. Don't you feel lucky to have had the life you've had? I mean, your voice was heard by everybody in so many different areas. I mean, that's quite an honor, don't you think?
Sure.
That sounded convincing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like you're always driving. Okay, that was great. What's next?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm getting to the age now, and maybe you're there now where you can sit back and sort of relax and say, that was great. And there are moments I have that, but I think you're an ambitious person. I'm an ambitious person.
Yeah.
I'm always looking ahead like, okay, what's next?
Yes.
But, I don't have, the faith that you do. And so, I'm jealous of that.
Well, anybody
I'm
can have
jealous
it.
of that.
That's not true. I don't think. I mean, I think it takes a certain strength and a certain viewpoint of the world that I've lost a little bit of. And I'm still a faithful person. I've gotten fed up with organized religion along the way.
Yeah, understand.
But I miss some aspects of it, and miss those days where I was very involved in the church, and there's a comfort there, and a congregation there. But I just got so fed up with the politics and hypocrisy, and what Tommy was saying before about it's my way or the highway kind of mentality of so much of organized religion.
And turn
It's a
so many
competition.
people away. I know.
Yeah, and it's a competition.
It is.
I've got to get you, and as opposed to the Baptist church or the Muslims or synagogue, and my God is better than your God. Well, it's all the same.
We all have the same God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm envious of that, a place you can go to.
Yeah.
That I wish I
That's
could
a very good way to
go
put it.
to the way I used to.
You can get back there.
I can. Yeah.
Just a mindset and your own body.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has it affected the rest of your family in terms of their faith?
Well, my whole side, or my family, has always been deeply rooted in faith. So they all just love sharing the miracle story. And the ones who didn't, I do have family members who weren't so close to God, and now they see, and now they believe. Sometimes you have to see to believe.
Yeah. Tommy, have you ever met somebody who grew up devout Catholic in a devout Catholic family and is still a devout Catholic?
No, not anymore.
That church seems to lose people somewhere along the line.
I loved being a Catholic. I mean, to this day. But again, luckily for me, where I grew up in North Minneapolis, the freeway surrounded it. So anybody who lived in my neighborhood couldn't get out. I mean, it's very true. And it was black people, Italians, mostly Catholics, that kind of deal, and Jews. That's who lived in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
To me, that was a great gift.
Yeah.
Well, you locked them all in here so I can learn what that's all about. I mean, I learned so much from my neighbors and, the very giving people. Not a whole lot of them had a lot of money, but that didn't really matter.
No.
I mean, I love to tell the story, too. I go to see my friend Rocco one time, and I knock on the door, and his grandfather answers. I'd never met his grandfather. He goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Hey, I'm here to see Rocco." He goes, "Oh, yeah? What's your name?" I said, "Tom." where do you go to school? I said, St. Joseph's. She goes, oh, that's good. That's a good thing. You Italian? I said, no. Shut the door in my face. I made the first few cuts, but not the Italian cut. I didn't make that one, so you can't come in here. Sorry.
That's funny.
But you were just talking about faith and all the rest of it. The big one for me, 7th grade, St. Anne's now I'm going to, 26th Avenue in Queen up there in North Minneapolis. And I was supposed to serve Palm Sunday Mass. It was a Palm Sunday Mass. And I was supposed to serve, and then, I don't know, I got cut somewhere at the end. So
Altar boy kind of thing?
Yeah, altar boy. I was an altar boy for one day. And I'll tell you why. This will show you one day of being an altar boy. So I realize, and I tell my friends, wait a minute, I can't go home without a palm. It's Palm Sunday. I got to get a palm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back then, churches were left open all the time. They didn't even lock the doors, right? So we're all in there, and we're up in the sacristy, and we're looking around. And this is after all the masses, so that, the ones that are left are not in the greatest shape or any of that stuff. And I said, and at the time I must have been 11 years old, this is not going to work. All I got left are the effed up ones. The Monsignor was standing right behind me. You're no longer a little boy serving, are you? You're not an altar boy anymore. That's it. One day, I thought at first he was going to kill me for dropping the F-bomb in church, in the sacristy at church. I was like, whatever.
Working blue, even as an altar boy.
Even as an altar boy, that's exactly right.
But isn't it funny that seemed like such a sin back then? Now it seems like such a minor.
Who cares? And that
minor
kind of
thing.
deal.
You didn't burn the church down.
I mean, that's one thing I am very, very grateful for is growing up in all those different, families and lifestyles and beliefs and all the rest of it. I think that was a real blessing for me because I get to watch it, what's going on and all the rest of it, and it just
See where people come from.
See where people come from, absolutely.
And you know so much about Tommy's childhood and where he grew up. The minute he said, I had a friend named Rocco. I've never had a friend named Rocco. Yeah. Have you ever had a friend named Rocco?
Nope, I haven't, but I can picture a Rocco.
Yeah, Rocco was a whole deal. That was a whole deal.
Oh, funny.
But I still have guys coming up to me. I'll be 74 in November, but I still have people coming up to me on the street talking about the old delicatessens and everything with the Jewish population of Western Plymouth Avenue. It was just, you literally would walk down Plymouth Avenue and go from the black area to the Italian area to the Jewish area. It was like everybody had their own area.
Were you allowed to go into all of them?
I was, yeah. I got along with everybody. It was wonderful.
That's great. Yeah.
And do you think that's a good or bad thing, or do you wish that we were more integrated, those neighborhoods?
Well, they kind of were. It's not that you couldn't come into their section. It's just where they did business. They had the North Side. The North Side Parade used to be on Plymouth Avenue, and then I guess it got a little too violent, so they moved it up to Golden Valley, and then they moved up to Broadway, and then they moved up, and it's just gone now. Now it's just gone.
I was on a little road trip a couple weeks ago, and I was up near Rochester, New York, and in between cities, and I noticed on cell phone that a Yemenis coffee shop had opened up.
Oh, there
the
you
first
go.
one in that area for hundreds of miles. So my friends and I said, well, let's go check that out. We're all coffee fans, so that'll be interesting. So we pull off into this little strip mall. It must have been a former, Five Guys or something. But they decorated it, beautifully. And there was a long line of mostly white, older, women from New York who couldn't spot Yemen on a map. And it was taking so long because they had to be explained every different kind of coffee, and they'd never seen these pastries before. And it was frustrating at first for my friends and I, like, this is taking forever. These women are. And they were buying everything. I mean, buying 18 different pastries.
Right.
But then it sort of sunk in, like, isn't this great?
Yeah.
Like, they're getting an experience. They're meeting some people from Yemen. It was a family that was running. Very nice family. They're meeting them for the first time. They're getting a taste of their culture. They're breaking barriers about people from a different religion and a different country and really enjoying. I mean, there were no Yemenis people in the place. It was all older white people from this hoity-toity community. It was just wonderful. It was frustrating, but but wonderful. And I hope we're seeing more of that in the Twin Cities.
I hope so.
With the diversity that's coming in here.
Well, I certainly hope so. I haven't seen it so far, but Minnesotans are very judgmental people. They really are, and that's the one thing
I thought they were Minnesota nice.
Yeah, some of them.
Listen, when everybody says Minnesota, I said, well, the biggest radio figure there's ever been in this town is Tom Bernard. Okay, so throw that Minnesota nice.
I think Tom Bernard is very nice.
Yeah, what do you think of that,
There you go.
Take that
Shut
home
down.
with you. Now we're talking.
Even Andy has raised his hand.
Turned on
I
Dad.
always say Minnesota polite. I think we are very polite.
If you don't want to talk to someone, you're very polite.
Right.
That's
We're very
exactly
good about
what
saying
it
good
is.
morning, how you doing, and then
Yes,
keep
that's
walking.
true.
Yeah.
I always
That
used to
is
say this is the first area where people will wish you well. The last place they'll invite you to their house for supper.
Yeah. Yep.
That is kind of true.
That's a Scandinavian thing, don't you think, Tom?
I
Yes.
think it
Yes, it
absolutely
is.
is.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Scandinavians where I grew up. There are a couple, but not
Right.
not a lot of them.
Right. But people criticize New York and some of these things.
Yeah.
But people are honest. And if they like you,
Yeah.
they really like you. And,
Yep.
and you can have great conversations. But I think it's a small town, big town kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But I mean, we're all sitting here, and our lives are in great shape. I mean, your son is back 100%. Your career continues on. Mine continues on. I don't know how much longer that's going to be
For both of
somebody,
us, yeah, who
for
knows?
anybody.
Right.
Hey, television news not exactly hot anymore either. That's the other thing. So, I mean, the world is changing a lot.
Yeah.
And well, you need to come back whenever you feel like it, pal.
Yeah,
We need your
and next
take
time,
on
and it'll probably be an AI host.
Yeah, it'll be an AI.
Yeah.
I won't be
Yeah.
here.
Just be Andy and, have your recordings. And
We could do that.
it'll
Definitely.
probably be a much more fascinating conversation.
So the other me sitting here,
Yeah, the AI
that's a
version.
given. That's a given. There's no
Crazy.
question about it.
AI.
Well, it's
All
so
right.
nice to meet you,
Yeah,
Kari.
you
That's
too.
so fascinating.
I'm really
It's
glad you were able to
inspirational.
stay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you.
That just the timing of that just happened perfectly. It kind of fell in.
Yeah.
So this was kind of an accident that you
I
would
know,
both
it's
be
nice
here at the
that
same
I
time.
That's the great thing about this podcast. I mean,
I
you have
love
the
it.
time to do this now
And I love it.
that you couldn't do on the radio, and we
Yeah.
get to have a nice, long, in-depth
The
conversation.
greatest part of it is I don't have a general manager. Oh my God. Well, it's just such a thrill not having to answer to a general manager.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, well, okay, I can close with this because this is a true story. I think, 19 years old, and I'm working at 1500 KSTP over in the Hubbard building, all the rest of it. And one of the assistant, I don't know, general manager, whatever, I think it was assistant general manager. He came because I was a new guy. He was going to tell me what it was all about. We're going to do this, and then you're going to do that, and you got to do it like this. And he just, I'm 19 years old. I still live in North Minneapolis. And I said, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. I said, you know all this stuff, all about this stuff. You must have sucked as an announcer. He did not like that at all.
Oh my gosh.
Because if you knew all this stuff and you were good, look how far you
Right.
could have gone. But that's not the way it
It's
went.
blunt truth.
He did not appreciate me
Oh my
saying he
God.
Oh,
sucked.
what a surprise.
Yeah.
So did you stick
That
around, or
never
did you, were you out of there then?
No, I stuck
Wow.
around.
Yeah.
I stuck around, no question. Yeah, that's the wonderful thing I love to talk about. Like, Ginny Hubbard now runs the entire company.
Okay.
I met her, she was 8 years old.
Wow.
I was like, man.
Wow.
But she and I are still really, really good friends. I adore that woman. She's really good at her job.
Yeah.
She really is. I mean, I don't answer to her or anything, so I'm not trying to suck up to anybody.
Yeah.
The Hubbards have always been very nice to me, the whole family.
Wow. That's
No
good.
question. Well, I never got to meet the one brother that died young. The one who was, his father told him to move the safe out of his office. I'm getting a new safe, so you need to move the safe out of my office. Opened the window and threw it out the third story
Seriously?
window. Third story window.
I never heard that story.
Oh, look it up. He threw it out the window. And I don't think Dad appreciated that
No.
too much when he did that.
Crazy.
We got to do this again and get these old stories, like all the people you were talking about meeting at the Court Bar every day
Yeah.
in downtown Minneapolis. That place was unbelievable.
Used to be the little wagon. It was
A
the
little
place the
wagon.
media used to.
Oh, yeah.
Used to go to. We even had a phone extension in the bar
Oh, funny.
before cell phones, because they knew that's where you would find editors and reporters.
Wow.
Who was the guy over in Milwaukee? He was the general manager in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and his office was in the bar across the street.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the phone on the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Okay.
Yeah.
It was that kind of business back then, I guess. But both of you, please do come back. You know, what's great about it is this wonderful news you told, how your son has been to 100% recovery.
Yeah.
What'd you say, he was dead for a minute or two?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to know, but yeah.
I don't want to know about that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
look at how life can work out really, really well. Sometimes it sucks, there's no doubt about it. But
Yeah.
most of life, I would say.
Get
and
through
in
the battle.
My
Yeah.
situation, I look at my family and all 3 generations.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You want to do good in the world, go home and love your family.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There's a good closer right there.
Perfect.
Go home and love your family, Neal.
Yeah, if I could find them.
You can find them anywhere.
Still in hiding. Yeah.
They're just hiding out. There's no question. Well, both of you do come back. I love these conversations. This is what podcasting should be.
Yeah.
I know that, a lot of sports podcasts are huge and people love sports and all the rest, and then there's other, issues, but these are the conversations when I was a kid that used to be on TV.
Yeah.
They would have conversations like this on television, and I just loved watching it all. As I said, the Dave Moores of the world, and
Yeah.
it was wonderful. But do come back.
Sure.
Thank you for having me. I loved being here.
Thank you for coming. Andy, that's going to do it.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
Bye.